Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you can hear me okay. Hope I'm not too loud. I changed up the volume a little bit on the microphone, so hopefully it's a little bit better now. What's going on today? We're going to be doing a deep dive into the deep dive of New World MMO, whatever they got planned for this. We got no idea, but I think it's an expedition. I saw a quote somewhere about something got quoted from this event. Apparently there's going to be something that's happening with the Tempest, and we know that Captain Thorpe, the guy that got introduced in the depths as one of the depths expedition bosses, is claiming that he's like the king of the freaking Tempest. So we'll see what's going on there, but right now I'm going to go ahead and get ready. I want to read a little bit of lore before we start. Oh my god, it started early. It's starting really early today. I'm going to show my monitor for a second. Let me see. I'm going to test some things, make sure it's showing okay. I should have the chat right here. Wait, Lost Ark is gonna... Oh, wait, actually, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that always sucked. Like, whenever we played Lost Ark in the KR server, and I remember the first couple ban waves were going out, I was so sad. I lost my Berserker. I love my Berserker. That was so tragic. But I can't believe it's finally coming to the NA. What's up, Prophet? What's going on, everybody? Although I wish it came last year, because it would have been plenty of time to play it. This time around, not going to have any time. Ocean, I wish. No, I don't think they're gonna do anything naval for a while. In the conversation I had with them, they said that, I mean, it sounded like they weren't even really thinking about it till like after an expansion. Because Scott had said that they want to see where they're at for a little while before they, go into like naval and start talking about expansions and if there's going to be a level cap increase and stuff like that. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. Oh yeah, I got some music to play too. Also, yeah, that was the Guns the Duel OST. I did play that. That was amazing. I missed that game so much. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. I miss case styling. That was one of the games that really got me into like animation canceling. Sometimes I think animation cancel can be great because even though the combat was buggy, it was like one of the best experiences I ever had. That was like, it was definitely next level. I think the Lost Ark servers are open. I haven't really paid too much attention to what's going on with that right now because I was getting ready for this, but I think they did open up the alpha test now, but it's under NDA, I think. I haven't checked it out yet. I did the pre-order for the Platinum Edition, I think, but it doesn't charge you right away on Amazon, so I don't know if I'll be able to get into that test right now. iGuns. I think I might have, I don't know if that's an old one. I know I played a couple private servers of Guns back in the day. I haven't played it in a while though. I bet I would still know how to K style though. It's like riding a bike, you never forget. That much I know. I remember I stepped into a Guns private server like 2 years after I stopped playing and I could still flip people and what do they call it? Triple butterfly? Yeah. God, I love Guns. Oh yeah, so I was trying to look at some lore for like the Tempest because if it is going to be the depths that we're looking into, I mean, I've already in the alpha, like I guess it's not really use in hiding anymore. Like I told people that I've been playing the alpha for a while. I've done the expeditions multiple times. So if it is the depths, that'll be cool. But I want them to show the Dynasty expedition. That's the one. Because oh my god, I love Dynasty Shipyard. Yeah, ocean expansion. I don't know if they will do it for a while. I think naval content would be pretty cool. Like I know people were talking about when I did the second video when I talked to them about how like they'd like when I was gathering suggestions, people were saying things like they'd like island exploration. Reminded me of Lost Ark. New World is probably gonna have a lot of potential on that side too because the map that we have right now, they said that I think I can say this right. Yeah, they said that they're not going to add too many more zones right now. I don't think they have plans for. Well, they asked me if they should focus on zones or like gameplay systems, and we said gameplay systems, but they have plans for at least one more zone. And I'm sure I'm sure some players know what it is because some people were kind of jumping over the fence, so to speak, and glitching into areas that they shouldn't be, and then it leaked all over. It didn't leak, but it's going to be an interesting area. The next one, it's going to be pretty big too. If they do that zone, I don't know if they're. I think they are. I think they are. Do you think Lost Ark or New World will have the bigger player count? I don't know. It's hard to say. I think New World. I think there's some other thing because I know people are like concerned about the cash shop and stuff. There's some other things that do worry me about New World. Not like in a sense where I think it's gonna die, but like there's like a lack of open world content because there's a lot of people that do like progressing with open world content, and like with the recent nerfs that happened to the corrupted breaches and like the stuff that they've been adding on the expedition and questing side. I'm just hoping that they have plans to incorporate some more open world content, because we might start getting a lack of that. And then if people are all doing like the same faction missions and questing and stuff, it might get pretty boring, because the questing isn't New World's strongest suit right now. So I think they should continue to incorporate that, because they gotta get the rest of the quest lines in to up to level 60, but then also get some open world features too. So I think New World will probably have a rocky start. New Lost Ark has kind of, got a pretty solid foundation. So I think that might be neck and neck, or it'll probably have a slightly better like couple first months. I think New World will probably boom pretty quickly, and then it'll probably start to level out, start to lose players over the first month or so. Oh, we got 9 minutes. Are there servers in Asia, specifically South Asia? I'd have to check again. I know the preview, if the preview is anything to go off of, I know we had one, I think in South America, if I remember right. South Asia, I'm not sure though. Oh yeah, I know what I was looking for. I want to look for some lore for the Greyjacks, because I need to see something with them. Yeah, I would love to see more gameplay aspects before they do like more zones kind of thing. Hold on a second. Let me make sure that music's playing. Oh, you guys can't hear that. Hold on. No way. There it goes. All right. In-game raid content. I think raids could be interesting. Like the expeditions already are pretty cool. I mean, they're dungeons, but they're not just like cut and dry generic kind of dungeons. They have mechanics to them. They have some beautiful areas. So one of them is like we might see it today. I'll talk about it if we see the depths, but it's not like a full-on area of its own. It's kind of like a reskin, but it's a pretty cool take on dungeons what they've got there. But the lore, like one thing I was looking forward to is the expeditions explaining more about the lore. It doesn't really, like, speaking from the AMRINE excavation, it doesn't really give us a whole lot more information. It's kind of something that points you in the direction of the lore pages and quest lines, as opposed to like answering big questions. Brazilian Portuguese voice acting, I've got no idea on that one, but I think they're still working on localization now. I would not be surprised if they would do something like that. Where's my Greyjack pages? Yes. Yes, I need to see something about the Greyjacks. Can't log into the... No, I'm not gonna do that. Which faction do you think you'll choose? I actually had a plan to do something pretty interesting on the faction side. I don't think it'll work too much now, but well, maybe I'll keep it secret for now, just in case. But more than likely, if I did join a faction, probably Marauder. I would probably join a faction during beta, because I think people were saying that the beta is only going to last like 2 weeks. I don't think it's going to last a full month, like from July 20th to August 31st kind of thing. So if that does happen, if it's only 2 weeks, then most people are going to probably have to rush. Because I've already done all the quests. I've done all the quest lines, and read all the lore up to a certain point, so I know most of it, so I don't really have to go through it like right away. I can save that for launch, but what I'll probably do for launch too is I'll level up, and then I'll come back and I'll start doing all the quest lines and reading through stuff again. New Genesis. I love playing Phantasy Star Online 2 when I did last play it. Probably not. I don't think I'll have enough time to. Special event, yeah. I wanted to look at the crafting too. Yeah, I probably won't have any time to, but it looks pretty cool though, I think. I think I looked at a couple videos of it and it looked pretty interesting. Close that up. Oh, did I show off the wallpaper? This is just the thing that I have at the end of my videos. Except I got it animated, but this is the picture of it, the tavern with all these characters on it. This one was done custom by an artist that I found. They did the design that I have for like Isabella and the Dread Knight too, which is really cool. I love that design. This is from the special event that we did a couple weeks ago. The Elden Ring trailer? Yeah, I did. Elden Ring looks pretty sick. Yeah, we got 4 minutes left until the Game Awards thing. We're gonna full screen it right after. Are there set bonuses? About 2 or 3 patches ago, they did add quest lines for armor, and I think they added ones for weapons too. Not the legendary ones, because those have always been there, but armor sets that have actual set bonuses. And I think there's weapons to go with them, or there's just weapons on their own that start at like level 40-ish. But there's like 1 or 2. Not all of them have that, but I remember those armor quest lines. I remember them saying that they had actual set bonuses. And have you done lore videos? Yeah, I have about, I think 11 total. Yeah, I got a playlist for them that I did some theory crafting ones, because with the game's lore, so to start with, the corrupted are not really the main entities, I don't think, of New World. I think there's something else that's hiding underneath the surface, kind of thing, so to speak. The void is what I think is like real, because if you look at the elements, corruption isn't really an element, but void is, and empowered, and like fire and arcane, and or not arcane, sorry, fire and nature, ice is now there. Corruption is closely related to void, and if you go into the invasions, if you've done them before, like during the preview, at the end you'll see what's called a void destroyer, and it's like a giant misshapen corrupted head. And there's some talks of I think there was some talks of void in the lore. I don't fully think it was in the lore actually, but I think they're closely related. And there's obviously going to be a big dog that's above like Isabella and Thorpe and the Empress. It's not just those 3. I can't say anything about it yet, but I've seen Isabella's entire story from start to finish. I know what it is. So there's a character that hasn't been revealed yet, who's I'm pretty sure is the big daddy of the corrupted, not Thorpe. Because Thorpe is people were thinking, I think, that Thorpe was like the king of the corruption and the king of this, whatever this Tempest thing is. No, he's just a lackey. No, there's somebody else. But I think the void is going to be the real thing that comes out of those portals at some point. Because void magic has been theorized as well. And I think there was some, well, I can't say anything too much about it, but there was some data mining done, so we might see some more void related things in the future. That Tempest enemy teaser? Wait. What Tempest enemy teaser? Wait, do you mean the... Because I wasn't looking at it when they were talking about it on the summer game event yesterday. Did they mention the Tempest? The Tempest, I think, is either it's the corruption itself. It's like a force that the corruption pulls power from, or because I don't, the way that Thorpe is described, I don't think the Tempest is like a god itself, because Thorpe considers himself the master of the Tempest. So it sounds like, but he also said, it also said right after, which made me think that maybe it's the corruption itself. Let me see. It said, he now styles himself master of the Tempest, the king of corruption. So the way that it's worded right there, it almost sounds like when he says the king of corruption, this is from the patch that added the depths. It sounded like the Tempest is the corruption for a second there. That was one theory I had. But if it's not the corruption, then it's probably a force that the corruption pull power from. Because it just sounds like not an actual entity. But I know there is a big dog though. I know there's somebody above Thorpe and Isabella and the Queen. I just don't know. I know his name. Not his full name, but they call him the heretic. I think that's okay to say. Yeah. Okay, let me close out of this though. But we're gonna find out. So I think this showcase might be the depths expedition, because if they mention Tempest, then it's probably Thorpe that we're gonna see. It's not my favorite one. I want the Dynasty one so bad because it was in the patch notes. They added Isabella to the Dynasty shipyard. It's so sick. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the mounts thing. View on mounts, I think it would be cool for certain things. I know people have always been so torn on mounts. It's hard to say. Cam win. Not anytime soon. I'm gonna save it. I'll save it for a rainy day when I get like a Gandalf beard. And then I'll come back after like 10 years of not showing my face, and then I'll look amazing. But everybody's always been torn on mounts. I don't know, I've never really minded it too much, like having mounts or not having mounts, as long as they're not something that negatively impacts the gameplay experience. Let's do this. But we'll see where they go with it. I suggested, I agreed with them doing like a more, what's it called? A more expansive mount system. I like the idea of, one thing that I would use as a reference, even though I don't like the game in a lot of ways, is BDO does have a really good mount system. Like, we're able to tame these mounts, craft stuff for them, attach them to wagons and stuff like that. I think stuff like that would be pretty cool if we did have to have them. But yeah, I've never really felt any kind of way about mounts. If they're not there, it's fine. If they are there, it's fine. I don't mind, as long as they're done in a way that doesn't impact anything negatively. Like, there needs to be balance around them. They can't just be something you can hop on and run a bunch of faction missions with, or run from PvP kind of thing. What was all that? But that's why I mainly defaulted to asking everybody what they felt about mounts, because I feel like it's too big of a topic to discuss in like a day, or like to decide in like a day. But yeah, after launch, probably. Yeah. I think during launch, it'll be a lot easier to travel around. Put the video on two. I can't, it's a live stream. Wait. What? You can do that? Okay. Oh, it's a premiere. It's not. Okay, that's why. Gotcha. All right, let's check this out. It's kind of blurry. Hold on.
Hi there, I'm Scott Lane, game director on New World.
Scotty.
An open world MMO from Amazon Games. In New World, you'll be up against the haunted wilderness of Eternum, a mysterious island set in the twilight of the Age of Exploration.
You guys hear that?
There's going to be massive siege battles and thrilling supernatural invasions.
I'm turning this
all
up.
of this in the midst of a stunning and diverse island. Before we go any further,
hope the
I'd like
volume's
to give
okay.
you a little bit of background on the island, the characters, and what to expect while you're navigating Eternum. You start your journey as the navigator aboard a ship destined.
Is this good? I just turned it up.
Who survives a terrible crash and awakens to a strange new world. It's full of both wonder and horror.
Better? Okay.
You find yourself immortal, but you quickly learn there are fates far worse than death. The humans of this lost continent are in a constant struggle against themselves and a threat growing in power, the corrupted. Eternum is a supernatural island with an eternal conflict that causes shifts in its balance of power. The corrupted, the lost, and the angry Earth are in a constant struggle for control.
This is the trailer we saw.
Is at the root of our universe. Over the last century, the pendulum has swung in favor of the corrupted with the rise of the Tempest, the architect of an apocalypse that seeks to unmake life here and target the old world next. Only you, the player, are capable of uniting
the hell is the Tempest?
factions.
No, that's new.
Common enemy is hell bent on taking over the world.
They've renamed some things. We'll talk about it in a second.
Lead the player on their journey through Eternum, where the central question is, what is the price of eternal life? On your adventures, you'll meet characters who have adapted, struggled, and succumbed to the power of this place. You'll discover ancient secrets, make powerful allies and enemies, as well as learn that not all is as it seems on Eternum. Last summer, thousands of players joined us for a preview of New World, and they offered us a ton of great feedback. What
am I loud?
Most was that players wanted to see more mid and end game content, as well as more opportunities for PvE. That's exactly where we focused our efforts. We're excited to show you some of that today.
Actually, yeah, I saw that quote. Yeah, the Tempest
To
does
bring more
sound like a
PvE
force
content
that
to
they
our
pull
players, we
from.
introduced
It doesn't sound like a,
expeditions. These
I
are
don't know.
5-player instanced experiences that take you into the darkest corners of Eternum. You'll face extreme challenges, expose
The
the
volume,
angry
yeah, hold
Earth's
on.
hidden agendas, reveal the threat
What's that?
behind the lost. You'll dig into the mystery of the ancients, and you'll uncover more about the source of the
Okay.
corruption. Your team will need skill and coordination to overcome these
There you go.
challenges. Each expedition has unique mechanics, bosses, and loot, and each one has its own story to tell. We'll have 6 expeditions in the game at launch, and here's a look at a few of them. AMRINE Excavation, the first expedition you'll encounter in New World.
It's just like a
dig site just west of AMRINE Temple. This is where famed archaeologist Simon Gray and his team have gone missing.
It's like
Your
a brief
party's gonna need
explanation
to
of them.
venture into the depths of the dig site to discover what happened to them and to the ancient technology they unearthed.
It doesn't tell us that
You'll
much.
encounter
Though.
the
Damn
Empress
it.
of Ebonscale in
Yes.
the Dynasty Shipyard.
Oh my God,
She's
show
been
her.
building a fleet of warships and must be defeated for the safety of Eternum and the world.
Show Isabella.
In the Garden of Genesis, one of our endgame expeditions, you'll explore the garden where the angry Earth are born. The garden has been infected with a mysterious blight that must be stopped before it spreads to the rest
I
of
hate the
Eternum.
last boss in this.
You'll need to
fucking
face the
expedition.
garden's protectors in order to purge
God,
the
the last
blight
boss
and begin
sucks.
the garden restoration.
Bugs out.
These expeditions are just a sample of what we'll have in at launch.
I'm
And
still
there'll be
salty.
much more to come
Couldn't
in
finish the
future.
last one I did. How many expeditions have I played? Well, since they added the
We've
tuning
also
orbs.
added 2 new zones
Hold on.
to New World since preview. First, we have Ebonscale Ridge, filled with lush wetlands, majestic waterfalls, and towering cliffs. It's a mysterious area in the northwest of the map, home to an exiled empress named Taiyang. A bright young woman once destined for greatness, the empress is now building on
Is the volume still too low?
of corrupted forces
Scott?
to reclaim her lineage and her rightful claim to the throne. Rickwater is a rundown fishing village
I love
overrun with
Ebonscale.
brutes, pirates, and the other undeads.
Okay, let me stop talking
Originally
too much. Let me stop
imagined as
talking.
New Venice, the settlement was built on the submerged ruins of an ancient residential district, but quickly overtaken by the Siren Queen and her flotilla, capturing the remaining settlers of Rickwater into her crew.
There's not a lot of. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Of course, a mysterious supernatural island wouldn't be complete without some villains. One of the most recognizable faces in New World is
Yes.
that of the red-eyed woman wearing a glowing amulet as she overlooks the island. As you may have already guessed, she is one of the most challenging enemies you will encounter in Eternum.
She's
Her
alright.
name is Isabella. Countless warriors have tried to seize the amulet from the heart of the land,
Hold on,
but
I'll turn it
every
up a
time
little bit more.
they were overmatched by the corrupted and the island powers and turned into the corrupted themselves. The
Alright.
Siren Queen is a figure that many will come to know after visiting the shore of Rickwater.
All right.
Much about the Siren Queen is yet to be revealed. I don't want to spoil too much, but I can say that she and her crew originally arrived at the island seeking to create a
Hell
new
yes.
land in which all people could be equal.
Oh,
And
you're gonna
somewhere
love the
along
fight.
way, she lost her soul.
Siren Queen's
So
a
we'll leave it
badass.
at that, and I hope you enjoy your first encounter with her as you explore what Rickwater has to offer.
If you like Pirates of the
In Ebonscale
Caribbean, you'll
Ridge,
love Siren
you'll
Queen.
come face to face with a ruler like none you've ever seen before, the Empress. After fleeing her homeland and her envious half-brothers who sought her throne, she arrived in Eternum alongside her loyal followers. Now she continues to cultivate the island's power
The
and
Empress is
transform
sick.
her
Yes.
loyal followers into her own army with the intent of returning home to exact her revenge.
I've still got some questions about the Empress though, like lore
When
wise.
the first explorers came to Eternum, it was unoccupied. But over the time, the explorers, or what's left of them, have populated the island. Little is known about the ancients, but you will see evidence of their long ago existence on
Yeah, just want to pause that since it's a premiere. So the ancients, just want to say, these beings of four, as they call them, they've been mentioned in the lore. So the ancients, these skeletons are just the ancient guardians. They're just like the slaves and the people that worked for the ancients. These ones are the real deal, the ones with the 4 arms. And the Tempest that they're talking about, I don't know fully what that is, but it sounds like the power that the corruption pulls from and Thorpe pulls from, because I don't know. Scott says it's like the architect of the apocalypse, right? But then it says in the notes that Thorpe considers himself like the king of, or the master of the Tempest. The thing I don't get is if he's like the master of this Tempest, but the Tempest is described as like the architect being like an actual person, it sounds like it might be the heretic, but we'll keep going.
And perhaps over time you will learn more. The corrupted are immortal and twisted servants of an ancient and mysterious force of madness and destruction.
Oh yeah, they changed up the way some of these
Loths are
fight.
soulless, immortal,
These mobs.
undead beings, caught between life and death in an endless cycle of pain and torment. From the mindless, withered corpses to powerful ghosts fueled by elemental rage, the Loths are a constant reminder that eternal life still has a price that must be paid. The angry earth are pure expression of nature infused with the power of Ajax. They are wise and docile creatures, but fearsome and powerful guardians of the natural world when provoked.
Oh, please show a new weapon.
Skill-based, action-oriented combat is at the core of New World. In New World, your positioning, timing, and aim all make a difference. And our classless combat system means the weapons you choose will define your playstyle.
I was so sad
As
that
you use a weapon, you'll begin to master it. And you can further customize your weapon by choosing which abilities you want to specialize in.
They told me Greatsword probably wouldn't be one of the next
passive
ones.
benefits that affect the tactics of combat.
But they know people want
At
it
launch,
though.
we'll have
They
11
know we
weapon
want
types,
Greatsword.
including our newest addition, the Ice Gauntlet, which harnesses the elemental power of ice for powerful magic attacks. The weapon options in New World are especially interesting because of the Age of Exploration setting. Gunpowder has emerged, but it hasn't yet become dominant. So New World offers a great mix of melee weapons, ranged weapons, and magic weapons.
This is all old footage. But yeah, two-handed
As
sword
Scott
for
mentioned,
sure. Oh yeah.
expeditions are designed for groups of 5 players. Teamwork will be required to make your way through, solving puzzles and battling challenging bosses. When you enter an expedition, you'll want to make sure you have a healer who can restore your party's health, and a tank to hold aggro and control the flow of battle, and
This
some
is
friends
older
ready to
footage,
quickly
too.
dispatch the enemies. And don't worry, New World still has all the PvP that players have come to know and love. Whether you're challenging a rival in a duel, competing in a 20v20 outpost rush, or jumping into an all-out 50v50 war, or just enjoying some friendly combat in the open world, there are plenty of opportunities to test your mettle against other players.
They're not showing any. No, I'm
I
looking
hope
for
you've
the.
enjoyed getting a closer look at expeditions
Sorry.
and some of the other new features in New World. Our closed beta will begin on July 20th. You can pre-order to secure a spot in the closed beta or sign up at our website,
Scylla. That was Scylla right there.
newworld.com, for a chance to get in. On August 31st, New World will launch for PC. The
Wait.
launch is just the beginning. We have a lot of plans for future content that we think you're going to love. We'll share more on our post-launch roadmap later this summer.
They're gonna
Before
show.
we wrap up today, I'd like to thank those of you who joined us in the alpha or preview. Your feedback has helped us shape New World, and we want to keep hearing it. Together, we can make Eternum a place that you won't want to leave. We can't wait to see you there.
Wait, I thought they were gonna show. No. Oh, I thought they were gonna show the. No. I thought they were gonna show the expedition. Wait, hold on. It's not done. Okay, we got something.
Hey guys, it's Jeff Keighley, and I am here at Amazon Games in Irvine with Scott. It's good to see.
All right, so for the Greatsword, they know that we want the Greatsword. That was the first thing that came up in topic with them, but they said that the Greatsword is probably not going to be one of the next weapons, but they know that people want it. They know that people want it, but I apparently did mention whatever one of the next weapons might be during the conversation. So I mentioned pistol. I talked about I didn't talk about the one-handed mace, that's right, but I did talk about it in the video. The halberd, I brought that up to them that we saw a picture of when they first introduced the corrupted breaches. There was 2 other ones, but I think it was I think it was either a Morningstar or a flail weapon that I mentioned, like a paladin build. And there was one more I can't remember. So I think the next one might be pistol. One of the next ones might be pistol. But there's also rumors of another type of magic. I can't say what it is yet, but there might be another magic coming later on too. But
See someone.
yeah, apparently that's it though. I thought they were going to show the actual expeditions. Damn, I can't talk about too much more. Then let's see what happens in this Q&A. Maybe they'll ask some good questions. I
In
hope
person
so.
and do one of these interviews. We're fully tested, and I gotta say, you guys have been testing this game for a number of years, working on it and building it. And I first wanted to start by asking you, what has kept the team motivated through all these years? I know this past year has been.
We did
some
mention
challenging
crossbow.
to
I did
make
mention
games, and you guys
crossbows
had
too. Yeah.
A lot of
And
players in it
blunderbuss.
last summer have been building on it. What's kept you going all these years?
First off, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
It's great to see you. There's been a lot of things that have kept us going. We love the lore. We love the story of Eternum. We love to just be able to tell that story. But for the last year, it's been watching the players play the game, reading the feedback, engaging with them, and trying to understand, where they want us to take the game and how we can get it there. So when the team's in the forums or in the game and chat, watching and talking to players, it just pumps us up. It's fun. It helps us.
Well, these games are obviously built with the audience. And
I'll
exactly
answer
last
that
summer, it
after
was
we're
great to have all
done,
those
T. Don't worry.
players in there. As you said today, you guys have been building a lot more content and refining aspects of the game. From a top level, like New World, what do you hope it adds to the MMO genre? Like, it's an amazing genre. There are fans that don't just spend tens of hours; they spend hundreds of hours in these worlds. What are you hoping this game adds to the canon of MMO games?
Well, I think there's a few.
What happened? Hello? What the shiz? Oh, crap. Hold on. Oh, it might have ended, so that might be why. Yeah, I think this is more for like new people. Okay, hold on. Let me. Shit. I think that's what happened. What the shiz? I thought my computer froze for a second.
Materials. Right.
Okay.
So in the game first, when players were playing on the beach,
That was
there
weird.
was all kinds of issues with not enough.
Hold on. Yeah, I think this is for people that don't know what the game is. So I think that
It's an amazing
I was expecting like a expedition showcase. But let me see what he's gonna ask.
setting, and I know how hard the team has been working over these years to build this game. Last year, you had a lot of players, as you mentioned, in the game, and you've been building it based on their feedback. And you talked a lot about
Wait,
And how we could tell that story in an island. We all just kind of fell in love with it.
which question are we on?
how did that come about?
Well, we love the idea of the age of exploration.
Okay, let's just start
we
here.
always say
Let's start
it was the last gasp of the sword and shield and the first breath of the musket or the gunpowder.
Yeah.
So we thought that was a really cool time period. And we wanted something around there. And when we came up with the idea of an island lost in time, Eternum, and thinking about all the different visitors that could have come there through the years, chasing immortality, not realizing what they were really going to get with it, and how we could tell that story in an island, we all just kind of fell in love with it.
Well, it's an amazing setting, and I know how hard the team has been working over these years to build this game. Last year, you had a lot of players,
ask a
as you
game,
mentioned,
place question.
in the game, and you've been building it based on
No.
their feedback. And you talked a lot about,
Oh man,
in the video today on the sort of mid to end game content and how you've been adding
was
a
the
lot
music
to that.
still playing?
I'm
Hold on.
curious overall, though, from sort of a macro level, like how has the game changed in the past year based on player feedback?
Yeah, for sure. So outside of the big changes we've talked about, all the new content, we really took to heart a lot of the feedback we heard in the preview. Spawning systems. So in the game first, when players were playing on the beach, there was all kinds of issues with not
Okay.
enough enemies, this and that. We've revamped the spawning system. Combat. There was people didn't like as many of the interrupts as we had. People thought there was too many different weapons you could have equipped at once. They wanted a little more differential in the tree and the combat trees.
I was
We've done a
expecting
full
some
revamp
more.
on mastery.
Damn.
And then crafting. We've done a complete overhaul on crafting.
This
We've
is
added
all-
a lot of depth. You can now craft endgame materials, right, that compete with stuff you can find in the world. There's discoverable crafting ingredients, and there's just a lot more to do with all those systems.
That is
I
true
love that
though.
this game continues to evolve, and
The crafting system is very complex now. Like I've been trying to relearn everything that there is to learn about it. It's pretty crazy right now.
one aspect that you've been evolving over
It's not insanely crazy, but it's like not like more online kind of crafting, but it's definitely getting there. It's really nuts right now.
the years is the PvP aspect. Tell us a bit about that, because 50-player war. I mean, it's like there's a lot going on there. 50v50, things like that. Tell us, what can we expect from a PvP?
Music's loud. Hold on. Sorry. Let me just turn that off. Yeah, they. Wait, you said that. Yeah, it didn't really show that much. For the PvP side, because somebody did ask about the PvP. I like the idea of having that. I mean, even they said themselves that they want PvP and PvE to coexist in New World. So I definitely think it's important for this game to add more to that side, even though we know, the open world PvP flagging, that's a thing of the past. That's not happening. That's cool. There's still ways, though. I've always talked about this. There's still ways to incorporate that experience and satisfy those players that want something similar to that without having to go full throttle. You don't have to go full in there. But that's why we've been, I started talking about it a while ago, but they finally added it, like the open world points of interest, where you can get automatically flagged when you enter them. So now they have the fortresses. Dynamic events was another thing I had talked about, where there could be certain ones that will automatically flag you. I think people have also suggested this before too. There's definitely ways that they can improve that. And with the territory war, the biggest thing there, because somebody asked about Outpost Rush earlier, which, yeah, it does feel like a MOBA. If it's like a MOBA mode in there, you'll see it. You'll see it play out once you get in game, but it's like a MOBA kind of thing without the towers. Wait, there's like a battleground I can use as a reference. I'll talk about that later, but yeah, I think the PvP side probably could, use a couple more features to it, but we'll see what happens here
it's
with the rest of this.
That too, right?
It's fully opt-in. So
Yeah.
our vision for the game is to create a world where PvP and PvE not only coexist, but they complement each other.
Yep.
That starts with the territory game, where you can own different territories, and that's decided through the PvP part of the game. Once you own those, you can set different rules for the territories, things like tax rates, or you get other benefits like, if you own connecting territories, you might be able to access storage or get fast travel.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, anyone can choose to fight in the war, and that's an opt-in PvP as well. But we've also built the game with the PvE player in mind, and we want the PvE player to feel that they can have a full, awesome experience without ever ticking the PvP box if they don't want to try that.
All right,
Right,
so
yeah,
something
that's
for
what they're
everyone,
going for.
inside of this. And I know in a world this vast, there's a lot to build, and I love that you've created all this additional content over the past year. We know that there's going to be a beta in July. People are going to get to sort of jump in again, get ready for launch at the end of August. I'm amazed that not just for this team, all these game teams around the world have been able to build games, in a work from home scenario. What has it been like for you guys to have, the alpha working from home and then building all this content? I mean, it's a tribute to all these teams, but has it been any different for you than normal?
Yeah, you have to learn how to communicate differently. You have to develop new muscle memory, as we say, or skills to do it.
Yeah.
But it's challenging because you lose out on those. You're in the cafeteria or the kitchen getting something to drink, and you hear two people talking about a feature they're putting in. You're like, oh my God, I didn't know that exists. That's so cool. How can I hear more? So you lose some of that, and you have to try to find ways to get it. But even like the other day was the first time I've seen a couple people in over a year. And you see people on camera every day, but you forget, oh, you're tall, or you're this, or you're different than me. And it's just been it's been a challenge. We've added a lot of ways to overcome it, but coming out of it now, which it feels like we are, I hope we are, I'm really excited to get everyone back together
and celebrate launch, hopefully in person, right?
Exactly.
Well, Scott, before we go, I have to ask you, the internet has certainly
shit.
been talking about this game the past few weeks.
We want
in relation
more.
to the idea that, is it a pay-to-win game? And fans that have invested time in this in the alpha or will be investing time in this year, I think want to feel like they really can earn their way to the end, and no one's going to be able to sort of artificially accelerate their way to a lot of the other content. What can you tell us about that? How are you guys approaching this concept?
Well, we've tried to be as transparent as we can with the players, and we continue to do that. So with that in mind, we're going out and we're building a game that has a very level playing field. That is super important to me. It's super important to the team. When we launch, we're only going to have cosmetics for sale in the store.
Right.
Over the next several years, the game is going to grow and grow and grow, and we're going to see where that takes us.
And I will say, last year you guys put out this alpha, and sometimes I feel like alphas come out and they're just marketing events, and the game is kind of coming out anyways. You did the alpha, and then really went in and have spent the past year retooling a lot of aspects of the game, pushed it a whole year, based on the community feedback, really, right?
We took it to heart, and I hope it comes through for everyone when they see and hear what we're showing. And like I said, we revamped the combat, the crafting, the spawn system. We've added all of this new mid and end game content, all because of what we heard from people in the preview and in the alpha. So yeah, we're trying to. It's really important to us to watch, listen, and actually absorb what people are saying, and then try to show that in the software.
No, and this is new IP from Amazon, studio that's just getting into a lot of this stuff. Like, I think it's a huge endeavor, and I think a tribute to you and the team that you guys have built this. And this summer, it's finally time. It's looking great. So beta coming in July, right?
July 20th, yep.
July 20th, and then release August 31st. So
For sure.
the summer of New World after many, many years, and I know it hasn't been easy this past year, especially to develop the game. Thanks to you and the team for inviting us in. Although all the teams at home, you and I are hanging out here, but they're working hard, and we can't wait to check out the game. New World. Thanks again, Scott.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, I know people were definitely expecting more. I was too. I thought there was going to be like a full-on, that's, okay. I thought there was going to be a full-on expedition deep dive. So how long was that? That was about 20 minutes? Okay. I thought it was actually going to be 30 minutes too. Okay, so yeah, they talked about very, very general things. I think even from a new player's standpoint, there probably wasn't enough here to really pull people in because a lot of this was like older footage. So people, more than likely, even if you don't follow the game, you might have already seen some of this stuff already. There is cool stuff to be talked about here though. Like there are some parts of this, if we were able to dive deeper, are really, really cool. Like the Dynasty Shipyard expedition, freaking Garden of Genesis is bombed, but I hate that last boss. Like I said, the Empress is really cool. The one that we just came across right there. Yeah, she's a really cool fight. But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of information in here, unfortunately. For the PvP side, yeah, I know people were really interested to learn more about that. That was one thing I didn't, because I've always talked about PvP, so I didn't really end up mentioning it in the conversation I had with them, because most of the stuff that was on my mind was like getting into the conversation about the MTX stuff and cash shops. So that was like the majority of my prep, and then when I knew that they were going to allow me to ask other questions, then I started to like scramble and get as many gameplay ones as I could. But I realized PvP was like one of the things I'd never even really brought up with them. But I've always talked about that too, and I know that people are always concerned on the PvP side, because even if we don't go down the full route of open world PvP, there's still ways to incorporate features that will supplement that. Like they've added Outpost Rush and the open world points of interest. I'd love to see PvP dynamic events too, but we'll see what they do there. But let me freaking roll up real quick. Yeah, there was old footage. There was a lot of old footage. Can you freeze frame on Scylla? Let me see. There might be a picture of her that I can find, actually. Hold on. I don't even know where they had it at. That's the Q&A. Yeah, Scylla was a really cool boss, too. I might be able to find her on the website, actually. Let me see. But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of info in that one. Not June. Wait a minute. Wait, okay, so I can start answering questions again. What was your question, Armando? And yeah, it was aimed at more new people for sure. There wasn't, I think when people started getting wind of it, people started to expect a little bit more. Even from a new player standpoint though, I think there wasn't, because if they had showed off like Dynasty Shipyard especially, that would have been really, really cool for bringing new people in. This was, I don't think they show a picture of Scylla in here. That's Charybdis, or sorry, Chartis. Yeah, they don't show a picture of Scylla in here. Okay. I should have took a picture of that, damn. I think she was inside of the portion with, unless anybody's got a timestamp, she was probably inside the portion with the freaking, right here. With the Shattered Obelisk showcase and that. We'll just start playing it until we see it. Yeah, the fact that they called it a deep dive is probably where things went wrong a little bit, because people were probably expecting more information or more, detailed showcases. I mean, it's cool though. It's the footage that they showed of these expeditions. This stuff I think is fairly new, like the Dynasty Shipyard portion right there. But it's really short though, is the only thing. I wish they showed Isabella inside there. That would have been so cool. What do you think is the most efficient way to level? Straight quest with only crafting? Oh, you're talking about what the current way to level would be. So they made some changes on the leveling side. There's going to be multiple ways to do it now. there's actually been the tweaks that they just did were partly because they kind of bumped up the leveling speed too much with a specific mechanic that they implemented. So even if you craft or gather, questing, any of that, you'll still be able to progress pretty quickly. Fairly quickly, not anymore pretty quickly. But I'd say, yeah, crafting and gathering might be one of the faster ways to do it now, to be honest, if they keep the same mechanic that I was talking about in. So yeah, you'd probably be fine. I can't say too much more than that, but I think if you want to do crafting and gathering, you'll be okay. Portal trains, like corrupted portals, are still a pretty decent way, even though they nerfed the timers and stuff that they showed in the patch notes. But you'll be okay if you want to do crafting and gathering. I would do that, or town projects, or the portal trains with the current mechanic that they have in there that really levels you really quick. Damn it, I love Isabella though. What are your thoughts? Sorry, what are your thoughts on the monsters being mostly humanoid? 2 arms, 2 legs, undead humans, corrupt humans. Well, right now there's a lot more than just, oh wait, no, actually no, you're right, there's a lot of humanoid based, even with the dryads and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's not too bad. I mean, there's a lot of humanoids, but they've got different visual aspects to them. Like the dryads, there's ones that are completely covered in like this blight infestation and stuff like that. There's the undead pirates, of course, and the wither, which there's distinctions between them. They're not exactly the same. They're aesthetically different too. There are animals, of course, too, but in terms of like, I don't know, monsters like with 6 legs and stuff like that, we don't have a lot of that. It would be good to see that, and I think that might come in the future. Like I was talking about earlier, how I think the corrupted isn't really the big dog. I think it's the void. The void, I think, is what we're gonna see in the future. So I think we're gonna see some new types of creatures when that comes around. I don't think it's just gonna be straight humanoid for the rest. So with the sub fee, we did talk about that too. The possibility that they didn't want to do that because they said that they took a lot of feedback from players that said that they didn't want to do a sub fee. And with sub fees, it can kind of get a little, if you look at games like the games that had started back in like 2004, 2006 that started with sub fees, a lot of them had to switch their sub fees later on. Like if you look at ESO started with a sub fee. Aeon, SWOTOR started with the primary sub fee where you had to, I'm pretty sure you had to pay the sub to play it. You know, games like that, Terra, that had to switch later on, I think they took some of that into account and didn't want to do that. That's why they're kind of going down this buy to play and cash shop route. Mostly the buy to play, because buy to play these days seems to bring in more players over time. Unless your name is, if you're like World of Warcraft, RuneScape, or Final Fantasy 14, subscriptions work just fine. But not every game that comes out after those can do that successfully, kind of thing, is what I think they were going for, because they didn't want to do the sub fee, is what I was getting from it. But the battle pass, I think it could be pretty interesting. One of the reasons I retracted the statement on the battle pass, like not wanting to see it, is because I thought back to what was it, Ascent Infinite Realm, which is now renamed to Elion. Back when they had their Thailand beta, when they were still named Ascent Infinite Realm, they were actually gonna have a battle pass. What was really interesting about it is they had things in there, like if you played Path of Exile, how you could get footprint effects, like you get Flaming Feet, Darkness Feet, and Path of Exile, those kind of cosmetics. They had stuff like that in that battle pass that they were going to do for Ascent Infinite Realm. And I thought that was kind of cool, because when I started thinking about it with the battle pass system, that's like an optional subscription, but not in the traditional sense where games would usually have an optional subscription that give you like increased bank space, you know, experience gains, money gains. Battle pass would just be cosmetic mostly, right? So that's why I think that could be like the lesser of two evils if we were to go for that kind of thing. That's why in the conversation I told them, if doing a battle pass meant that we didn't see like heavy MTX base cosmetic or heavy MTX base things ever, then I think people would probably not mind it as much, because that's like a way to, you know, keep that money flowing past the initial buy-in price without them having to go too far down the rabbit hole, because That's something I know people would not want to see, is going too far down the rabbit hole. But yeah, there's still that stigma against battle passes. It's kind of a slippery slope, but I think with how games are changing these days and how companies are finding ways to focus more on the monetization than improving the quality of their game, I think that these days we're living in a world where it's you gotta pick your poison, basically, is what we're living in right now. Because these games a lot of them are just milking the crap out of people at the moment. Are you gonna make your own company? Probably not. I love the idea that I can still play with a lot of other people without a guild. Like in the preview, I think I was just playing with a lot of people in the faction and other factions too. And when I'm in a guild, it's kind of different because you kind of have to put a priority on your guild mates. But like when I was playing without a guild, I could play with anybody, which is kind of cool. I like that. And I didn't really have to worry about politics or anything like that. We could just chill. We could just run, field bosses and not really have to start crap or anything like that. It was pretty cool. So I might do that again. Can you get Roman armor in the shop? No, they what can I say about this shop? They don't have that much in there right now at all. It's not even available at the moment. But no, you won't be. I think they'll probably do that at some point, but I think they're also going to add some in-game cosmetics for Roman styles too. They've added, with the last patch we saw how they added 50 new armor types. They got a lot more planned. And I mentioned to them in the conversation that if they wanted to like have a way to monetize cosmetics, but still have really good designs that they could put in game, then the historical types of like styles of armor and stuff like that, that would probably be something that people would gladly like pay for. And they can also have really good designs in game, and maybe even ones that are tied to those historical styles too, but in a different way. I think that would probably work out. So we might see Roman at some point in there, but we'll probably see some in the actual game too, because they've been adding a lot so far. But I want to see more. I definitely want to see more content additions. We need more leveling methods for sure, because right now, New World storyline, like I love the story. I've read through the quest lines, every single quest line almost twice that we have so far, and the lore pages, there's hundreds of them right now. I think I've read through the entirety of the lore pages from the preview, and then I've also read some that are not even, they're in the game, but people haven't seen yet, like the public hasn't seen yet. I've read those in all about twice, like all of them. The story itself and the lore, there's still a lot of mystery and questions behind it. It's got a good foundation, but it's not really something where it's strong enough to stand on its own without having other things to assist it. Like the questing system isn't really gonna give you that same experience you would get from like SWTOR or like in SWTOR, in the sense where you have those like dynamic quests where you can, with your party members, choose different options for how the quest progresses. Or with ESO, how you have like you might have a more cinematic experience, or like Final Fantasy 14 that specializes in that. It's not really like that, so I think it needs more leveling methods to supplement that. That's why I've been pushing for a lot of dynamic event-based suggestions. So we'll have to see what they do there. But yeah, I think even though they're starting to focus more on the questing and instance side, we need some more open world in there too, for sure. I don't think it needs to be pick your poison. It doesn't really need to be. It's just that's just how it is these days. And it's not, it's really difficult thing to talk about too, because this past few, 10 plus years or so, what I've noticed is that a lot of these games have had these like predatory practices and stuff like that. And despite a lot of people continuing to play it, it's continued to get worse. And I think in part because we haven't had a lot of backlash and outrage on those sides at all. And it's just starting now, but back this whole time it hasn't really been, people haven't been caring as much because we didn't have that much to play, because people have been looking for that golden age of MMO again. So it's gotten to this point, and now I think we're in an age of pick your poison because we didn't really stir up a fuss for so long, kind of thing. But no, I've not, when I started seeing that stuff happening in BDO and like Arcade and stuff like that, I just stopped playing them. especially with BDO. I didn't like the progression system, the way that works with fail stacking and stuff like that. And I don't agree with like, you know, heavy MTX based stuff in the store like at all. I'd rather not see it for sure. But if I have to, you know, go with the cosmetic cash shop or like one with the battle pass to not see that kind of stuff, I totally would. Their questing is super weak. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like they're trying to focus more on the questing and stuff like that, which is, you know, it's great, but like they need to also strengthen that open world side, because that's where New World really specializes. There's a lot of really beautiful points of interest. There's and they even said themselves in the patch notes how they noticed that people weren't visiting these points of interest. What I've noticed over time is that they've nerfed the crap out of like mob grinding on the XP side and the gold gain side. Like in that last patch, they completely like almost wrecked the mob farming on the gold side, because they said that now it only has like a chance to drop from mobs kind of thing, like gold. And people are not going to be visiting these points of interest around the world because there's not a whole lot of reason to. People are going to be sticking to the places where it's most useful to farm. Like the Merc Guard has always been, and I'm speaking from preview too right now. Merc Guard has always been a place where people would normally go to farm at end game. There's a lot of chests there that you can loot. There's elite mobs that you can, you know, get drops and stuff from. People will probably be there most of the time in Shattered Mountain, or now Reekwater, Eden Grove, potentially Ebonscale Reach from time to time. People stay in places like that. They won't really visit all these points of interest throughout the game, because people are probably going to be questing and doing corrupted breach trains and stuff like that all the way up, but they won't be really farming in these zones because we can't really get XP off the mobs. Really good XP, that is. But if they were to rebuff that, that would probably help with rebuff the mob farming XP, and then also the gold gain. That would probably help a little bit with getting people back into these points of interest and spread out a little bit more. And then added more dynamic events too. Like if they had merchant escort caravans, that would help with people exploring throughout the zones, and like incursions in the open world where you can jump into fights that are already happening, like settlers versus the ancients or the corrupted. I think that'd be awesome. And yeah, houses are linked to the settlements. There's not 10. There's like at least probably like 10 to 12 plus house spots per settlement, and it's instance housing, so it's not like a land rush thing. It's not like a land rush. You'll be able to get a house no matter what. But no, there's different styles of houses, and each zone has their own new houses that you can make use of. So like Ebonscale is going to have some new types of ones that you can get. Reekwater, we did a special event with Reekwater last year, and they had some more like marsh based housing spots, which are pretty cool. But in the future zones, one of the things I talked about with them too is it would be really cool if we had house spots in the open world. Like it would kind of bring back that experience in the first alpha where we did have free building a little bit. As far as I remember, it was to a certain degree, but free building was a thing. If we had house spots in the open world, like ones where, let's say you go to this little village in the middle of a zone and you can get a house there, maybe get like a backyard farm or something like that too. If they implement that mechanic, I think that'd be pretty cool too. What's up, Jacob? It wasn't really like a announcement thing. It was just like a really general, not even a deep dive, but like a first, not even a first looky. There's like a showcase kind of thing. It didn't reveal that much. A lot of it was just like old footage, and there was some new parts there, but it was just more on the visual side. There wasn't anything really revealed. Somebody asked me about the Tempest earlier too, or said something about the Tempest, my bad. Yeah, with Captain Thorpe, one thing I wanted to mention earlier is they've renamed some things in the lore. Like the Greyjacks, who used to be mentioned, and I mentioned this in the video I did where we talked about the possibility of like a fourth faction, like pirates and mercenaries. And I talked about how lore-wise, the Greyjacks stand apart from the faction. So there's a Syndicate, Marauders, and the Covenant. But the Greyjacks are the people, and you'll see them in the north, and you'll see them in the lore. These dudes are like the front line against the corruption. So like, while we're all dealing with our faction warfare and stuff in the south and whatever, these Greyjacks were like the front line guys. These dudes don't care about any of that. They're just like, they're there to fight the corruption. So I think their new name is Soul Wardens. I think that's what they've been renamed to from what I've seen in the pages that I've been analyzing. So they've renamed some stuff. So I think whatever this Tempest is, it could either be that heretic guy I told you about, or it could potentially be just the force that the corruption pull from, because Scott says that the Tempest is the architect of the apocalypse, right? That wants to unmake life, like kind of like a dark side situation. So it sounds like a person when you look at that meaning. But then when you look at when Thorpe was introduced in the Depths expedition, it says that he's fancying himself a master of the Tempest or a king of the Tempest, something like that. So it sounds more like a thing rather than a person. So it's hard to say, but I think whatever this Tempest is, we'll probably have to find out more about it. But either way, there's 100% got to be a big dog above Isabella, Thorpe, and Siren Queen. They're not the only, or sorry, Empress. They're not the only ones. They're not the only ones for sure. People have made their, yeah, I think they definitely got the message on the cash op stuff. I would hope they will take a lot of that into account over the next couple of months after launch, because we won't hear any mention of that until 2022. At the beginning, we're only going to see cosmetics and stuff like that. But yeah, I think they at this point realize what happens if they, you know, if they do something or start trying to think about something that the community just doesn't fully agree with. So I would hope that they would take that into account. You know, some companies still don't. Some companies don't care. They'll just put that stuff in and not give a crap. But the fact that they're willing to talk about it too is hopefully a good sign. I would say that they're more receptive to that stuff and willing to improve, or, you know, kind of work with the community on what could be okay. How long does it take to max a trade skill? Oh yeah, it's gonna take you a little bit. Yeah, it'll take you a little bit. I would say, I'm not gonna talk about like how it is right now, but like just general wise, it's probably take you about, if you're working really hard at it, about 2 weeks of like 8 to 10 hours a day kind of thing. Yeah, I think it'll probably be taking a little bit of time, but you'll enjoy the grind though. The crafting side, the gathering side's in a pretty cool spot. There's some things that definitely need tweaks though, for sure, but I think you'll like it. Yeah, you will. It's one of the stronger parts right now. Do you think the game will be popular after launch? I think even though they're trying to slow down the leveling, I don't think it's gonna work that well. I think we're gonna probably hit max within the first 2-3 weeks, and then pass probably within the first week or week and a half for some people. Some people are crazy. And then after that, yeah, I think the next 3 weeks we'll probably be doing the majority, if not all, the content. So I would say, yeah, I would say it would last longer than a month, absolutely. But I think the content will probably run out in the first 2 months, and then after that, we're gonna have to wait for some more. The Heretic, yeah, Heretic's the big dog. He's you'll find out about him. I'm gonna, oh yeah, there's so I can't say too much about it, but I've seen Isabella's story. I know her story. I know exactly what it is. And there's somebody else. There's 100% somebody else. We'll talk about him for sure. He's gonna be fun. He's definitely gonna be fun. If you've ever played, one example I was thinking about, it's not really a full example, but if you've ever played a game called, what's it called? In Dark Messiah of Magic and Might, where Dark Messiah of Magic and Might, where, what's his name, Sarah, he has to rescue his dad from a prison, and he finds out that his dad is like this devil god. He reminds me of that a little bit. He's gonna be fun. I want to see him though. I want to actually see him, and he better still be real. God, he better, because they've been changing some things about the lore, so I hope they keep him in for sure. But it's gonna be interesting. Will you be able to play on the 20th if you pre-ordered? Yeah, you should be able to. Thank you so much, Jose. Do you have a Discord? I do not. I was gonna start one for the beta and stuff, but I'm not sure if I will yet. But I'm probably gonna be doing a lot of stuff with the community. I got a lot of plans for like playing with people during stream and whatnot, and just having fun, kicking back. Like, one of the reasons why I was gonna ask them to do like tavern games and stuff like that, which apparently they do have plans for tavern games, they told me. But when they brought up the social aspects and if those are important, I started mentioning things like blackjack and poker, because I think it'd be really fun to just like pick a day where everybody gets together and we all just play blackjack or something in the tavern, or just kick back and play whatever mini game they got going on in there. So I did mention that, and even though I won't have a Discord, I'm definitely gonna be doing a lot of stuff with the community. Like in the preview, we did a field boss run where we went around and we killed Banes. Malevolence bugged out on us, so we couldn't kill him. We killed Zinc the Obstructor. We'll be doing stuff like that too, and probably like questing runs where we can go through all the zones and finish everybody's in-game quest lines and unlock orbs and stuff like that. When is the game being? It's July 20th for the beta, and then August was it 31st for the release. What was like? Oh yeah, I was gonna add on to the other question though about this lasting a month. Yeah, I think we'll probably finish with the content for the majority of the content in the first 2 months, but then they're probably gonna be adding more, like a lot more as time goes on. I don't look at this game in comparison to like what, you know, World of Warcraft, ESO, Final Fantasy 14, Guild Wars 2 offers right now, because those are games, you know, of course, that have had years upon years of development on this game. And I'm not really concerned with how much total content a game has right now. I'm concerned with its potential and where it could go when it gets to those points. So I look ahead when I think of stuff like that. And I've been working on taking things slow so that I can last a lot longer in these games, because I want to have it be like a slow burn where I can find things to keep myself occupied until they continue to add new content. And I want to prevent myself from rushing too hard to the point where I burn myself out and then get to that point where I start taking a break and come back to the game later. That's the part I need to change, so that I can get to that point where other people are able to like experience a game nonstop for like years upon end. I want to get to that point. So I think we'll be fine. It's just they've been pretty good when they have added content. They usually add quite a bit at a time. The tweaks though, I think that's one thing they probably need to get better at, because sometimes which this happens in, you know, other MMOs too. Sometimes when they fix something, they'll break like 5 to 10 other things when they do that in the process, and they create more problems for themselves in the future. And I think sometimes, like the past few months, there's been some times where they've added certain things just to like inflate the patch notes list so it looks better than it actually is, but there were certain things that didn't need to happen, like the Warhammer animation changes to be exact, as an example. That was, I hate the animation changes on the Warhammer right now. Would you say the game is finished and ready to be released? There's some things that need to be tweaked for sure. I can't say too much about the current experience, but it's as ready as it's ever been. That's for sure. Well, certain parts of it are not as ready as they've ever been. The combat specifically needs some tweaks, but in terms of like content and stuff like that, it's definitely getting better than it's been. Definitely getting better than it's been. It's gonna be tough. Just picture how people, you know, had to deal with the lack of content when, you know, any of these games in the genre first released. This will be, because I've always been a game hopper, like an avid game hopper. Sure, I played, you know, I've dropped 1,000 hours on games here and there in MMOs, but like playing an MMO from the start for like a year plus the entire time, it's gonna be tough. Definitely gonna be tough, but we'll find a way. As long as if they get the greatsword weapon, I'll find some stuff to do. Like when I was talking about during the first delay, how I got racked up a lot of hours in Alpha 2. A big part of that was just grinding mobs. I spent probably about 300 to 400 hours in Eden Grove, in a specific part of Eden Grove, just grinding mobs all day long. It was fun as hell. What have you spent most of your hours on so far? Pretty much that. I'm up to like, let me see. Because right now, this shows my preview stats. I have the actual alpha on another Steam account. Because I bought three copies of New World, because I'm gonna use multiple computers to play it, because I'm gonna have one character just for like gathering and crafting all day. So on this computer I have 1,332, and then on the other computer I have about, I think I just reached over 1,000 about a couple days or so ago. So I'm about 2,300 right now. But most of the time that I've played in Alpha 2 was mob grinding. Before they made the stagger changes and stuff like that, I spent literal days, if not weeks, just grinding mobs. It was so fun with the sword and shield. It was a blast. These days I don't really do that as much, and like, since that's why I'm saying the combat needs some tweaks for sure. It's a tough thing right now, since they, you know, changed the stagger up and changed the global cooldown, and they changed a crap ton of stuff about the combat. Now with the control changes, like with the sprinting and stuff, it'll be tough to get it where it needs to be, but I'm hoping it'll happen. I think that's like the one thing that really needs work, aside from like the, you know, adding more content. I think the combat is something that's gonna need to be fixed up quite a bit. But yeah, most of the time it's been mob grinding. I'm sorry, I've been like backpedaling through some of these questions. Mob grinding has been like the majority of the time spent that I've done in game. I haven't done as much crafting and gathering as I would like to. But yeah, even now I still do a crap ton of mob grinding. I think that's probably like the one thing that I've done the most. Do you know if they intend to add any sort of competitive PvP in the game? Well, they've added dueling. That was like a couple patches ago, and then they've added these open world points of interest where we can go into these fortresses and fight over them. One of the recent patches, though, they added a cap on that where there can only be 25 players in these fortresses at once, and that's 25 players from each individual faction, so like 75 total people inside a fortress. I would love to see that be increased to like at least 50 per faction, because we don't want to have like 300 people in one fortress. It's too small of an area. But 25 I feel like is way too small for servers that are going to have like 1,000 plus, and probably you're going to have more this time, probably thousands of players. I feel like that probably needs to be a little bit bigger. But yeah, they've been adding some PvP mechanics. One thing that surprised me when we were talking in that conversation and they brought up social aspects, their example, not just musical instruments was one of their examples, but tournaments was one of their examples too. So that told me that they're probably considering adding more PvP based features. That's why I also said hell yeah to tournaments, because that could mean, I don't fully know what they meant by that, but I'm thinking they might be thinking about PvP arenas. And I know there's a lot of people that really want some of those too. I'm sorry, Chris, what was your point of interest take? I didn't see it before. My bad. Are you gonna multi-box? I mean, I did it in the preview where like I'm not gonna like, you know, have macros and crap, because I know that's not allowed. I'm just gonna play multiple computers at once, because I have them sitting right next to each other, and that's what I've done quite a lot actually. I just put one computer on auto run and I leave it in one spot to gather. I just occasionally press E or something like that. One of the first things that I was thinking about when I first ever found out about or tried this game, actually during the preview, before the preview, like in Alpha 2, was I was hoping that we could just press E and not have to worry about it. Like when we're gathering, we could just press it and just let it do out the entire gather cycle. Because if we have to hold E down or something like that, then that would kind of be a little bit of an issue to play with. But yeah, since we can just press E and it just does its own thing, yeah, I can totally do 2 computers, at least 2. 3 is gonna be tough. I don't think I'll be able to do 3. But I also want to like, because I was thinking about doing a specific thing with like events and stuff like that, where I could have one character in another faction. I'm not going to spy or anything, because I'm probably not going to join a company. Like I can have one character in one faction to test out certain armor designs and stuff like that, and then I can have my main character in whatever faction I like, and then I can also test out PvP builds on myself and stuff like that whenever people aren't around, and then I can do other stuff on that character too. So it'll be easier to do 2 characters than 1 for me. How do you feel about the evolutions of mobs? So they've been adding some interesting things to mobs. Like we've seen that they added the trait system where some mobs will have different effects, like the cold aura, where you'll see mobs that have like this, I don't think it's a cold storm anymore, like where it's an actual visible storm around them, but you'll see like a pathway being formed on the ground wherever they walk. And I think if you step in it, I think the way that one's described, if you step in it, it starts to slow you down and do damage over time. Stuff like that, and like how mobs can explode on death. That's pretty cool. I like that. I always like when games add difficulty from a mechanics-based side rather than just spiking up mobs or boss HP and damage. I'd much rather have mechanics be added to that stuff instead. So the fact that they're doing that to like even regular mobs is pretty cool. I like that. There's still other parts of the combat they need to be tweaked, but I think the difficulty aspect is getting better. There's some mobs that are gonna like smack our faces up pretty hard, and we can't just beforehand. You could pretty easily solo a lot of elite points of interest. It's gonna be different now. That's all I can say. It's gonna be a much different experience now. It's not gonna be downright impossible, but it'll be harder for sure. That difficulty aspect is definitely coming. And the mechanics of bosses, I like that too. The expeditions, they're not just like cookie cutter. Well, you know, they're to a certain degree, they're not that hard. Some of them, there's like at least 1 or 2 though that are, oof, they're gonna make you sweat. They're gonna make you work for it. I wish they had showed some expedition gameplay so we could actually talk about that more. But yeah, one of them is my absolute favorite. No, 2 of them. The Dynasty Shipyard, which in the patch notes they mentioned Isabella got added. It's really fun. And then Lazarus. Ooh, Lazarus is gonna make. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're not, Lazarus is an absolute DPS race. If you're not on the ball now with Lazarus, you're gonna get wiped. It's just a guarantee. So having that kind of stuff like possible in the game's current state now is really good. Is really good. The fact that that's already a thing. Can you run the game with bad internet or high? Probably. I mean, it'll probably well, in combat you're probably gonna feel it, because when I played on the EU servers, it didn't really feel like rubber banding lag. It was more like your abilities and attacks were delayed, which I guess could be. It felt different. It wasn't like visible lag. It was just like you were in slow motion. It's kind of hard to explain, but it'll have an effect. The ping will have an effect. Yeah, I would totally consider playing on the server most closest to you, because if you plan on in PvE, it won't be as bad, but you'll still notice it. But in PvP, it'll be very noticeable for sure. There's still crate drops and corruptions. Oh, you mean like Merkguard? Yeah, Merkguard. Yeah, there's so they made changes to that too. I think somebody was just saying earlier how crafting and bindable gear is kind of becoming neck and neck now. Oh, yeah. Somebody asked me to freeze frame on Scylla earlier. Hold on. There she is. Yeah, Scylla is awesome. Let me take a picture of her. Hell yeah. I gotta like actually take a better picture than that later. Hold on. Love Scylla. It's actually, they spell it Cilla, I think, but still. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so in terms of the chest thing, that's not going to be as much of a thing as it was. No. But you will be able to find some pretty good gear out in the open world still. And I'm just going off the patch notes right now. I'm not talking about like the actual experience, but yeah, you will be able to find some gear out in the open world from like just regular elite mob drops and the field bosses and stuff like that too. Oh yeah, you'll find some good stuff. You'll find some good. And then on crafting side, if crafting is going to be pretty freaking, it's going to be kind of difficult to get up there to where you can make some really good stuff. Like in its current state, it's going to be probably easier to just get gear through the open world, but when you get up there in crafting, you can make some pretty cool stuff too. It's just that open world might be easier. Do you know if we'll keep our... No, the beta progress... Sorry, the beta progress is going to be wiped. Yeah, that'll be wiped. I was hoping for some more. I was hoping at least for the Dynasty... Dynasty Expedition would have been really cool. I was hoping for like at least some Expedition gameplay so we could talk about that some more, but... I'll talk about what I can. I don't want to go too far into it, but I think we're okay because most of the stuff is in the patch notes too. Bring back Stagger. Oh yeah, somebody talked about Stagger. I don't know what their feelings are about Stagger. I mean, I think people are still split on it because my opinion, and I referenced back to a video that was done right after the preview. There was a guy named Acolyte Rush. I don't think he's really kept up with or played, looked at New World too much since then, but he was giving a lot of examples of like Dark Souls and stuff like that with how the current combat system was in the preview and how a lot of the time the only real issue in the preview was the hatchet when it came to the stagger. And I think they probably like went balls deep pretty much and over tweaked everything by removing the stagger entirely, because the hatchet was like the main issue, but there was also some other things that needed to be tweaked too. Because if you got into a corner and you had like 5 dudes whacking on you, you weren't going to be able to move that much. But it wasn't impossible to like deal with that stuff. There was even people that were making videos on and stuff on like how you can easily deal with the hatchet too, especially if people were just trying to spam at you. The hatchet wasn't like all powerful, be powerful, but I don't know what their current thoughts on it are now. I've seen polls and people say things like it would be good to have stagger at least on the heavy attacks. Me personally, I would love to see that too, because just going off of like if you saw when we did the expedition, how like when I was playing with the rapier, when you're trying to do these basic and heavy attacks, you're going to be taking a lot of hits because the mobs still have their stagger, and now they have these like elite traits and stuff like that they put on them. So you're going to be taking a lot of hits, and early on you're going to feel it too. It's going to feel way different because your hits aren't going to feel as impactful as they were before. There's still, dodging is going to be really important. That's still very crucial in the game, but not having the stagger, it kind of puts a little bit of a damper on the combat system. So I would love to see it back in some form. But yeah, I don't know. Like I still got to see like how people feel about it too, because I don't know what to say about the stack. For me, I love the crap out of the Alpha 2 and preview combat system. That's when I spent those hundreds of hours playing the game in mob farming. And I think I never thought that it needed to be tweaked that hard. I think that it was just a hatchet really. And diminishing returns could have definitely been added too. But I don't know. We'll see what they do there, because they're aware of these concerns for sure. And I brought it up a little bit in the conversation too. And they said that they're definitely aware of these concerns. But yeah, the combat is definitely something it's going to be one of the biggest things that needs to get put into the right place for sure, to where it'll work out for everybody. And how many trade skills and gathering? Oh, you can level all of them up. Now you can do everything on one character. Yeah, if you want to spam up all the gathering and crafting skills, it'll take you a while for sure, but you can do it. There's been people that have done it too. 5 dudes whacking on you. Poor choice of words. How many days will the beta last? I've heard that it's gonna last for 2 weeks. I don't know if they officially said that anywhere though, but that's just what I've heard. So we'll see what happens there. If it does last till August 31st, that'd be great, but we'll see, because there was some conflicting things there. Overall performance of the game, Yeah, I think it'll be fine if we're going off the preview, because when they do these testing phases and stuff like that, I think they put us on different kinds of servers that are not going to feel as, you know, great when you're playing. But yeah, if you're going off the preview, like that felt pretty good. Like I don't even think we had like server crashes when we were playing the preview. Like initially, I don't think we had like a big crash when everybody was trying to connect all at once. I think the server was pretty stable for the most part, if I remember right. And I remember even when we were doing like the big field boss runs, things were going pretty good. We didn't really have too many issues on the performance side. So yeah, I think for the low end PCs, you'll probably be okay. Fully butchered the block mechanic. Yeah, I didn't really talk too much about the blocking, but man, I was hoping they would. So the preview, we were showcasing just how powerful it was to utilize the block system in the preview too. And I remember I was giving combat tips before the preview started, and I was telling people, if you get into a sticky situation, let enemies break your block because you'll regen stamina to full. I mean, it's a powerful mechanic, but God, I was hoping they would just like skirt past that and not care too much, because it's going to be tough to tank. That's why I said like certain expeditions, you got to be really on the ball. Like Lazarus is going to mess people up if your DPS especially are not on the ball 100%. It's going to be a mess. But yeah, that blocking nerf is, oh, that was rough. That 100 as somebody who loves tanking, man, I wish that did not happen. But one thing that I've been thinking about is they said a while ago, like during the preview, I remember, I can't remember if it was an announcement or if it was just people that were talking in the forums, but when they do these builds, and I'm pretty sure they said this in the conversation I had with them, when they do this stuff, they're like months ahead of like that build. So if they put a patch in, the developer build is probably like 2 or 3 patches ahead. So when they do things like this, you know, blocking nerf and stuff like that, what I'm starting to think about is maybe they might already have like another tweak plan for that. It just hasn't come yet. So like maybe they have something for like the stagger and all that stuff to fix that stuff up. It just hasn't arrived yet. And then maybe they're also going in here and there and adding extra tweaks for what they need to do, based off player feedback. That could potentially be what's going on, but it's hard to say. And I'm hoping that if that's the case, then they might have plans for more open world content too, because they probably know that there's a little bit of a lack of that, because there's going to be people that, you know, are fine with doing questing and, you know, gathering and exploring and stuff like that to level up. Myself included, I don't mind. I've done the questing experience like all the way through a couple times, but there will also be people like myself too that love progressing strictly through the open world side too. And I'm definitely one of them. I would love it if they added more dynamic events and stuff like that, where we could just do that in mob grinding, rebuffing mob grinding to where we could do that in the open world. I would absolutely love that. And yeah, crafted gear can make legendary stuff. That was added a while ago. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. So you can absolutely make crafted legendary weapons. There's also the legendary weapon quest. That's still a thing. God, yeah, I wish the event ended up being longer. But yeah, there's legendary weapons. There is not legendary armor that you can get a quest for. You can pretty sure you can craft it now. Yeah, actually, because I can talk about that part too, because I actually did during the special event that we did, one of the things I did was I went over to the town and I looked through every single freaking, because I wanted to make sure that I did not miss a thing. I went through every single crafting tree on the benches. So like with the armor, where was it? Refining, crafting. These tags are not the greatest. I was kind of rushing when I recorded a lot of this stuff. Because I did that when I did that ultimate weapon guide. Oh my god, I had to that ended up being 45 minutes, and I had to edit that and on top of the other video in the span of like 4 days. Oh, that was rough. I thought I was not gonna finish. And I had to Actually, a big chunk of that, like when I got done chopping up my actual vocals and stuff, for the actual effects and like the editing portion, I had to do 36 minutes of that in one day. That was like the longest that I'd ever done. That was insane. Here we go. Yeah, this is the weapon. This is when I looked at the blacksmithing, the forge. Yeah, so yeah, as you can see, and like I said, the crafting is way more complex now. There is a lot more that you're gonna have to learn. And when I talked in one of the videos, I think it was either the March patch or the May patch, I was telling people that I'm gonna have to relearn everything there is to learn about this game. The crafting aspect was a big part of it, because you see all these different unique materials we got in here. This is stuff that will come from the high level, like if you're gathering star metal or orichalcumore, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, I'm sorry, orichalcumore, you might get a little bit of this tolvium, but then you'll also have ones where you have to go out into the open world to specific locations and kill either bosses for elite monsters, gather from chests. There's going to be way more to this now, or you'll have to use other crafting recipes to get some of these parts, like the etched handguard. I think that's one that you might be able to loot, but there's certain ones that you have to craft to use for bigger recipes. And yeah, like this right here is a legendary piece of armor that you can craft, and you see how the potential gear score is at 600. That's the max gear score right now. So yeah, as a crafter, and you'll be able to like for jewel crafting, you can I don't know if I have it in here actually. Let me see. I don't think so. Looking for the jewel crafting one. You'll be able to put in special materials to like have a bigger chance of guaranteeing certain attribute traits or perks kind of thing. You'll be able to do that too with the jewel crafting side. And I think with a lower level armor crafting, like if you're crafting like a level 50 piece, I think you can still do that. Like if you find like a random, where was I? Hold on. If you find like a random crafting material in the open world that you can use in the crafting process to have a bigger chance of adding a trait to something when you craft it, I think you can still do that on the lower level side of the armor crafting too. Hold on. I think it was here. How am I lost like this? Sorry, I went through everything. Trading post, craft. I think the trading post has a couple pieces of crafting footage too. Refining, crafting. I was just there. Hold on. Stupid food again. Hold on, I'm trying to find the other ones too, because I had way more. Oh, here it is. Here's one. Crafting. This is food. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you can still do that thing where, I wish I opened up those menus too. You can add special resources to have a better chance of determining the perks. And this part right here, this portion where you see the ironwood planks, this one is really interesting. So the way that this works now is on the lower level crafts, like if you're crafting like a level or a tier 2 bow or tier 3 bow, you can use like regular wood as a primary right there, because the primary, as far as I know, the primary is going to determine what tier the weapon actually is. But the secondary ones, you can use like tier 4 leather for this. So if you have an excess of that, like let's say you rush to level 60 and you want to come back to crafting, but you've got like a bunch of high tier mats that you can't do anything with, you can use those high tier mats to craft a lower tier weapon and a lower tier armor set kind of thing. So that's going to help you with gaining that experience and yeah, gaining that crafting level and getting you up to the point where you can actually start using those resources more. Where's the, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, the flag bonus there. So the way that works now is we don't have the 10% experience bonus anymore for flagging, which that part, it's going to be tough because what they've done is they've made it where you can get drops from killing people, like item drops and stuff like that in gold, which is pretty cool and experience, I think. But that 10% experience buff was a big part of why people flagged beforehand. So you might see people might not be flagging as much after that kind of thing, even with the open world points of interest and stuff like that. So it'd be great if they added something like that back, or had like another thing that they can add for incentivizing PvP. But we'll see what they do. We'll have to see what they do. How did you make... Oh, no, that was from a special event. That footage there. That was from a special event that we did. That was from the expedition event, but we were able to gather some extra footage. So I went and looked at everything. And no, items from the trading post. Trading posts in the markets, they're localized. So like if you're looking at a trading post in Everfall, only the items listed in Everfall are going to show up to you that you can buy and sell. But you can actually go in and you can shift between the trading posts in different regions. Yeah, like here. So in the top right here, if you see where it says showing orders, so I was in Windsward at this particular special event. So if I can click on that and I can go to Everfall and I can see what's selling over there. But if I want to buy something over there, I have to go to Everfall to get it and buy it from that trading post. And they also added a mechanic where if your faction, let's say Marauders, owns Windsward and Everfall, you can have materials and items and stuff like that transferred from Everfall to Windsward. But you got to pay a fee for it. But there's like a semi-shared storage system now. So yeah, you can transfer stuff back and forth now. I think it costs gold to do that. But that was something that they added in a long time ago. They also added a mechanic where if you have resources and stuff in your bank, you can use those to craft. Like you can keep iron in your bank and go to the bench without being overweight, and you can use the iron that's in your bank to smelt. You can smelt it. You don't even have to be at the actual you don't even have to be at the bench with the items in your inventory, which is really cool. And that also stacks on whatever you have in your inventory. So if you have like 5 pieces of wood that you want to refine in your inventory and you have 5 in the bank, you can refine all 10 wood at once. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gold that you need for transferring the stuff back and forth. Yeah, I think it's gold. Yeah, oh, luck bonus would be great. Yeah, luck bonus, hell yeah. That would probably help. And if they did put that XP bonus back too, that probably would help too. What's up, Skip? But yeah, stuff like that would probably help incentivize the PvP more. Do you get rewards, cosmetics, or weapons for hitting max level? Oh no, for completing achievements, they don't have any. They didn't do anything like that. Going off the patch notes, they didn't do anything like that. And the special event, no, we don't have rewards for that stuff. But I wish that we did. Because yeah, that would probably be a bigger incentive to get some of that stuff. Actually, this was the main event. Hello, everybody. At the end here, this is when I went through the achievements. Yeah. Like these are some of the achievements we have. A lot of them are pretty general, but they do have PvP based ones, which are really cool. And the titles are a thing now too. And I don't know if they have specific PvP titles. I'd have to, I didn't check in this specific portion, so I can't really talk about it, but I'd have to go back and check. I don't know for sure. But the achievements are pretty new, so they might add the rewards and stuff like that later for getting them. But right now they don't have anything like that. No, it's just titles. And yeah, arenas are still 5 players. But you're talking about the PvE arenas. Yeah, those are still 5 players. But yeah, I know that when we spoke about tournaments, though, that did get me thinking, because they might be considering doing like 1v1, 2v2s, and 5v5 like actual PvP arenas. And I mentioned that in the video when I was going over what we talked about. Because yeah, that was their idea. They said do I think social gameplay features like musical instruments, tavern stuff, tournaments, and stuff of that nature is important to have? And I said yeah to all that. And I think when they mentioned tournaments, they might have been talking about stuff like that too. Should be really, really cool to say the least. But yeah, the arenas, that part was pretty strange too. When we first were introduced to the arenas, I had initially thought that they were going to be PvP based too. There was actually articles and stuff like that coming out before they even officially announced it. And I was totally thinking those were going to be PvP based, but no, we don't have those yet. Pure healer build. Oh yeah, it's possible for a pure healer build. Right now, I can't say too much about what's going on with the healers right now, but there were some recent nerfs in the patches that happened to the healers. It's a little bit, those nerfs might make it a little bit harder to be a healer in solo. But yeah, the focus stat is specifically for healing. But a lot of people have been asking for like a secondary focus based weapon, myself included, because it would be really nice to have like a paladin type of weapon to add on to the life staff, because right now life staff is just on its own in the focus attribute. Like every other attribute has at least 2 weapons. So like intelligence now has fire staff and ice gauntlet, dexterity, musket, rapier, bow, spear is secondary dex, but I'm talking about primary ones. And then like strength, you got like the warhammer, great axe, sword, and hatchet kind of thing. So life staff is just like on its own over there. And when I talked about like the musical instruments and I brought that up to them too, that could be a really good thing to put in the focus side too, alongside like paladin based weapons, so that the life staff users will have something to back them up. Because yeah, with just the life staff, it's gonna be kind of difficult to fight. It was pretty easy like back in the preview and after that, shortly after, because they had a skill called Siphon, where you could put this beam on either players to heal them or enemies to damage them, and it was really strong. And they also had Smite on top of that. That was like an AoE burst magic spell. It was really powerful. In PvP, it could probably chunk you for like 80% of your health at one point, so it makes sense they had to tweak that one. But no, it's a little bit harder to fight now with the life staff, so it's going to be tough. But you can do pure healer, and they're going to be in high demand. If you're planning on being a healer, me personally, I'm gonna be paying people. I'm gonna be like, especially for the expeditions too, because the orbs are gonna work differently now. Ever since they added this tuning orb thing, where we have to craft them through stone cutters, or we have to get them through quest lines. Basically, what's gonna happen is these expeditions are not gonna be, you're not gonna be able to do them like back to back to back. You can have 5 orbs, and only, oh yeah, I can say this, only 1 orb is going to be taken per group. So you can have one person who's like the party leader, they have an orb, or the people, they don't have to have the orbs. So you can, if you have 5 orbs, that's like 5 runs. That part's good, so you don't have to do as much farming. But then after that, you're going to have to rely on like stone cutters, and people that are just up and coming and doing those quest lines for the first time. So I'm definitely going to pay anybody that's like bringing their orb into the expedition. And then also the healers, if they don't get a second focus weapon on launch, healers are going to be like gold at end game. You're going to be absolutely like gold. And I'll pay the crap out of healers too, for sure, because there's going to be some things you will really need healers for. Absolutely. And you're absolutely right on that. Pure healers should be better at their job than a hybrid. And that part is something that they, I think they have accomplished with the focus stat. I think they've at least done that part. Like pure healers are really, really good now compared to like hybrids, from what I remember. But I haven't played one like, I didn't play one that much in the special event. Let alone, just in general, I haven't really played a healer that much since the preview. But I've tested out the weapons and stuff like the skills and stuff like that, the changes, but like full on playing it, I haven't done that as much. So hybrid might still be okay, but I think pure healers are probably going to be way better now. And yeah, Outpost Rush is a battleground. It's what was that battleground I was referencing that came from WoW? I think there was one, not Arathi Busen. It'll kind of remind you of like a MOBA without towers, because there's 3 different outposts. Each team starts on 2 different sides. It's 20v20, and you can capture these outposts build turrets and stuff like that onto them, and you start to gain points for your team throughout the match by just having these outposts. And then you can also kill a boss, like an ice spectral boss, to freeze the other team's points. And then you can also kill open world, like it's a battleground, but it's pretty open-ended. So there's like corrupted portals in one area that you can kill mobs at to farm up Azoth and spawn creatures to defend these outposts. Like you can spawn like we saw a giant ogre, you could spawn like a bear, stuff like that. So it's like a MOBA kind of thing, but it's a full-on battleground. Yeah. And are you gonna upload those videos with, oh yeah, I got something planned for that for sure, Mala. That's why I gotta relearn the crafting system though, because it's pretty intense. Compared to the preview, the crafting and gathering is going to be pretty interesting for people that want to go into that. But yeah, I do got plans. I have plans for that too, for sure. Spear should be, yeah, dex. Yeah, spear should be dex main, and then strength secondary. And yeah, just like Cal said, even though they don't have like a paladin weapon right now, the amber gem, I was able to get access to that, and I was able to talk about that in the video that I did. The amber gem, I might have a picture of it still too, actually. Let me see. I have like, excuse my freaking folders. I have like folders on folders. June patch, right? Yeah. Where is it? Did I put it in here? Wait, I'm trying to oh, I know where it is. Hold up. Dang it. Yes. Okay, so yeah, the amber gem, what it does is it takes 50% of your weapon's damage and it converts it to nature, but also that damage can scale based off the weapon stat or the focus stat. So like with the intelligence based ones, like the ruby, this one would scale off of weapon stats or intelligence. This new one, the amber, will scale off of focus. So this one is basically like you can turn a sword into like a paladin weapon, so to speak. But I think there's still some improvements to be had on this specific scaling portion. Like I don't think it's gonna be like really powerful to the point where, you know, you'll be doing thousands of damage with the sword that has the fire stat in it. I think it'll be pretty on par with, like, if you build a full focus build and you put an amber gem in a sword, then what's going to happen is you're basically going to be doing as much damage as if you had built strength the entire time, is what I think the current testing shows. So yeah, like it converts it to nature damage, but then that damage will scale off your base weapon stat or the focus stat. So it's basically taking that nature damage and bumping it up based off of how high your focus is, kind of thing. So you can probably do okay as a healer right now. You just get like a life staff on your main bar. You can initiate with the life staff, and then when enemies get close, then you can switch to your sword that has amber in it, and then you'll probably be able to finish it off from there. Where is the footage? Okay, there we go. Dang, I cannot believe it was only 20 minutes though. What's nature in game? Oh, nature. So yeah, because there's a pretty cool mechanic that, this is an old mechanic actually. Mobs do have resistances and strengths. Like they have strengths and weaknesses to different elements. So like dryads, that family is weak to fire, right? And then corrupted, they're strong against void, which is what I was saying earlier about how the corrupted and the void are closely connected, but they're weak against empowered. And the ancients, if you look at how they kind of have like a bluish glow like that, that's what the empowered element looks like. So I think the ancients are strong against empowered, but I think they're either weak to, I have a chart for it it's not fully done yet, because that kind of thing you have to test like whenever you can. I've collected a lot of data over the years, so whenever I can, like whenever I get a chance to, like in these special events, I'll go in there and I'll look for weapons with specific elements and I'll do testing. So I think the ancients are weak to corrupted, but I have to double check. And then during the preview, I'm pretty sure we as humanoids have our, and dryads are weak to slashing too, I'm pretty sure. I think they're weak to slashing. But I think we as humans are weak to fire. Weak to light. Yeah, I know either, I think the Lost are the ones that are strong. The Lost are either strong against lightning or weak against lightning. I forgot on them. The ancients probably would be weak to lightning too, yeah. But we as players, I think we're weak to fire, because I remember when I was doing a war one time, I put a ruby on my sword right before it, and oh my god, I was doing so much damage. I was almost four-shotting people with my, and I was a constitution build too. I was always a tank during the preview, but I was doing mad damage. I saw the difference, because you can see it in the colors of the weapon numbers. Like they have it now where you can actually see, you know, what's weak and what's strong, or like what element they're weak to or what element they're strong to as you're hitting them. So I think you'll be able to see it even easier now, but I'm pretty sure I saw that during the preview too, how people were seem like we were weak to fire. Yeah, exactly. If you're a healer tank, does that mean you'll be slower than a DPS character? Yeah, you probably wouldn't be able to do like a, there are some people actually I think that have made builds, and I can't really say too much about how like the current iteration is, but if you wanted to, you could probably get up to like 200 focus, 250, and then have like almost 200 constitution too. It probably wouldn't be that viable, like do that and try to do both roles at the same time though, but I mean, if you wanted to get those kinds of stats, you probably could. Like that's how flexible the attributes are now. But yeah, if you want to go full healer, like if you want to, even if you go full healer, you don't really need, some builds don't really need the full 300 focus, because like the new thing they added was when you get past a certain threshold with these attributes, like you get past 50, you get past 100, 150, 200, you're going to get extra bonuses. Like 300 strength will give you the ability to get grit on your light attacks and heavy attacks. Focus has the same thing, but if you want to go full healer, you don't, some builds don't necessarily need the full 300 focus. It'd be good to, I think it'd be good to have, because they might have a really cool, let me check the bonus again. They just added it not too long ago. Was it May update? Attributes. Yeah, this. So like if you go down to focus, so this is what they added recently in May. So strength. Oh wait. Oh no, this was a nerf. Okay. It was here. Probably. Or was it? We gotta go further back. Was it March? There's no way. Hold on. Oh, it might have been March. No. It's not here. I don't think. God, this one was really big. This patch was so big. I hated how big it was. I was like, how am I gonna get through this? Hold on, I gotta find it. It was in one of these. This is Icebound, right? Oh, here it is. Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is the attribute threshold bonuses. So when you get past a certain one, like 15% damage to melee, light attacks and stuff like that. And then focus, you get past 300 when mana hits 0, 200% mana regeneration for 10 seconds, 10% cooldown reduction for in fast travel. So you don't fully need that. It'd be nice. It's like a quality of life thing. But if you can trade having 300 for like having just 250, and then you get like 150 to 200 con as a healer, that could be pretty good. Because, you know, in PvP especially, as a healer, people are going to focus you. So if you do PvP, you're probably going to need a little bit of con too. What are the most valuable needed trade skills? Furnishing is one of the top because of the trophies. I can't remember if they put, I don't think they put no, I don't think they meshed engineering in furnishing. So yeah, furnishing, having the ability to get those storage chests and put those into households and increase the storage capacity of the entire, your entire bank by doing that, that's really good. But the trophies for crafters and people that do PvE alike are going to be really, really good. Really, really good to have. So people are going to love furnishers. If you want to make money, that's a good way to go. Stone crafting is going to be pretty good too. Not just because you can cut gems and then sell them on the broker for quite a bit of money, but also the orbs. The fact that stone crafters can now craft the orbs, it's going to make them pretty popular. But one thing that I'm not sure of yet is if they're going to make it to where the materials that you need to craft these orbs are going to be tradable. If they do that, it's going to put a bigger economy in the stone cutting market, because you'll see people being able to sell these resources to stone cutters or give them to them, and then they'll be able to craft these orbs faster. Because I think right now some of the mats for crafting those orbs are soul bound, so I'm hoping that they change that up a little bit. But I would say furnishing probably be the top dog on that one, and then probably, because like I said, with the changes, crafting like armor and weapons will still be really good, but you can find some pretty good ones in the open world too. Cooking is a good one, yeah, too. I think they kind of start to become equal after you get past furnishing in terms of their usefulness. Stone cutting is really good too, but then also like jewel crafting is awesome. So it's kind of hard to say. I would say furnishing, and then after that, probably a tie between like jewel crafting, cooking, stone cutting. Alchemy has its uses too, and then all the other like crafting trade skills. But you pretty much can go with just about any of them and be okay. They're all pretty useful now. And yeah, actually, Logan, that's something that's probably going to be happening, is people are going to be selling dungeon runs, because since we can't trade the orbs, and the orbs are basically the key that we need to enter these expeditions now, and arenas. They just added that to where we need these orbs in arenas too. So you'll need to get one for the Siren Queen arena, and they're going to be tied to quest lines, so you'll be able to do quest lines to get these for the first time. But then after you're done with your run that you got from the quest, and after your entire party has expended their orbs that they got from the quest, then stonecutters come into play where they craft them. So yeah, the fact that we're not able to trade the orbs and stuff like that, that's going to cause a thing where stonecutters are probably going to be selling the runs themselves, and they can probably sell them for quite a bit too, because expeditions now have unique gear sets that you can get from them. And I've seen a couple of them, and they're like, ooh, the Dynasty Shipyard one. If you like the medieval Chinese aesthetic and stuff like that, you'll probably like that one a lot. That one's really cool. And Garden of Genesis has a pretty decent one as well. Oh no, it broke. But yeah, stonecutters, there's gonna be some stonecutters selling their runs for sure. For sure, that's gonna be a thing. And yeah, there's a limit. Yeah, there's a limit. I think there's a lockout, like either a weekly lockout or something like that for those. Something like that. Are you gonna do Lost Ark content? God, do I want to. I have so much planned for. I wish that game came like a year before, because it would have been so cool. We would have had so much time. But now I don't know if I'll do as much. I do want to jump into it a bit though, because I love the crap out of Lost Ark when it first came out. I love my Berserker. But probably not that much though. I gotta check something. Do you think the ranged javelin axe class will be useful? Oh, you mean like a spear and hatchet? I'm trying to think, because they operate pretty sure off 2 different primaries. Because like, let me check something. 'Cause I'm pretty sure, yeah, hatchet should be strength, right, for its primary, but spear is dexterity. So like, I mean, that could be good if you start out with the hatchet, with berserk, for instance, like how that gives you a state of being uninterruptible, and you can just wail on somebody for like, you know, 10 plus seconds before that goes off, and then you'll be CCable again. You could switch to spear right after that, pop a sweep for some CC, and then you can start doing like vault kicks, or if you want to do perforate or whatever, you could probably do that and be okay. But like from an attribute standpoint, you're operating off of 2 weapons that have completely different primaries, so I don't know how well that part's gonna work. But if you want to be like, if you want to go main hatchet, secondary spear, I think it could work. There's gonna be a lot of different build combinations for sure. Like there's gonna be so many, especially because how like they've started adding new things where musket, I don't think this was always a thing. Musket scales off intelligence now, and rapier does as well too. That's going to be super interesting to see what kind of builds people will come up with, because like I was talking about in the ultimate weapons guide, one of the first things I thought about when I saw that was I was thinking about trying ice gauntlet and musket combo, because you could throw a trap down, and I was doing this in the video. You can throw a trap down, switch to the ice gauntlet, throw up an ice storm on top of the person, and they can't move. And then you can throw down an ice pylon that's going to blast them periodically while they're stuck right there. And then you can just basically wail on them while they're slowed and everything like that with the ice gauntlet, do some DPS, and switch back to the musket if you want to. And yeah, musket rapier could totally work too. That'll be a really deadly combo. You're gonna love that. I've seen that. What's it called? How excited or pumped for you for New World? How would you compare it to overall feels versus AOC? Well, for me, one of the things I'm probably not going to do is I don't think I'm going to do a review, like a full-on review for New World, because I want to jump like headfirst into all the, you know, guide stuff that I got planned. But also, New World isn't really like I don't think New World is a thing I can efficiently review at this point, because it's not really a game I'm coming to anymore. It's like, it feels like I'm coming home. Like, it feels like I'm already like, after these 2,300 plus hours, I'm already so accustomed to it that I wouldn't really be able to recapture that experience of when I first got into the game and explain it to people. It would just be like me talking about the things I'm already used to and the things I just, you know, normally do in the game. I'm probably not explaining it, but I can't really rate it. Like, I would say overall the game right now in its current state would probably be like a 7 or 8. But like, there's a lot of variables that go into that. There's stuff that definitely needs work. There's stuff that they do really well. But I don't think I'd be able to properly rate it, like, as opposed to somebody that's just coming into it for the first time kind of thing. It's just, yeah, I wouldn't really be able to rate it that well. My favorite weapons so far right now, normally it's been sword and shield. Right now, hatchet is raising on that list for sure. But I want the greatsword. They said that the greatsword is probably not going to be one of the next weapons we get, but they know that it's something that people want. I want to see that one. That'll be my absolute favorite for all time. The axe, yeah, the musket's pretty good now. It's more powerful. And if you saw the patches, they've been making some changes to buff them. And I tested it out a little bit during that special event. The musket's got some power behind it now, for sure. It used to be pretty weak compared to the bow. The bow used to be like the go-to weapon for ranged. The musket was pretty useful in like territory war defenses, like if you were on the defending side and you had elevation on the other player, because the musket has hit scan. It's not like bullet drop or anything like that. The bow has like an arcing shot that'll, you know, diminish in elevation as it travels further. The musket, you can just pop somebody from like, you know, 50, 75 yards away, and it'll hit right on your cursor. So like sniping people off of siege engines was really good in some of those wars. But now the musket is probably in another league of its own compared to the bow. Like it can go toe to toe kind of thing, I think. Are you gonna make this stream watchable in full accuracy? Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, the event itself, there's not gonna be a whole lot of stuff to watch because the event itself only lasts like 20 minutes, and it was a lot of old stuff that we had already seen. It was just more of a general thing to get people into New World, it seems. But yeah, most of the rest of it was just us talking. So if people want to watch it, yeah, absolutely. With that many hours, and are you contact? No, actually, I racked up like probably 1,800 to 2,000 before I even had that conversation with them. No, I've been following the game since it was first announced in, what was it, 2016 when it was announced at TwitchCon, and then, or was it that TwitchCon? Yeah. And then 2018, I think, was when Alpha 1 started. And then I got in at the tail end, around the tail end of Alpha 1. Or not, sorry, the tail end of 2018 for Alpha 1. And I've been playing, I played that, but I didn't play it that often. I probably racked up like 300-ish hours of that. And then when Alpha 2 started, when it was like the tail end of 2019, when they did the Game Awards announcement, when they did the trailer, and I got into the Alpha 2, then I jumped into that, got 1,300 hours between that and the preview, and then I got into Alpha 3 not too long ago. So no, I've just been playing like this entire time and following the game. What do you think of the great axe? Oh, so I love the great axe, like on paper, like the weapon itself is just, it's so badass, but there's some problems with it. Like the basic attack, it feels really wonky right now. It's kind of awkward to use in certain cases. The heavy attack I've always liked because they've changed the animation of the great axe over time, and in previous iterations we actually did have the great axe as a usable weapon. So I did like the way it worked in previous iterations for the basic attack more than I do the current. What's up, Lazy? Oh no, we're done. The event wasn't that long. It was really short. What's it called though? But yeah, the great axe, I like it. Some of the skills are really cool, like whirlwind. The basic attack I don't like that much right now though, and not all the skills are that good. Like execute, gravity well can be, it's, you know, it's a cool thing. Like I showed in the ultimate weapon video, you throw a little vortex in front of you and it can pull people close to it and explode. Power side, it's not really that powerful though on that skill. Reap though, even though Reap was kind of like, it was buggy, it was a little bit buggy there for a while when they first added the great axe. They've made some changes to those skills. I can't say too much about it, but the Reap skill is probably in a better spot now. And Whirlwind I've always loved to use for the great axe. And then Charge. Because Charge is something you can do a basic or heavy attack on, and then you can activate the charge right after that hit connects, and then do a follow-up, like a cancel from an attack into the charge. So I really like, and it's a really good gap closer too. So I think overall the great axe is a pretty good weapon. It just needs tweaks in certain areas. And do you have a community Discord? I don't. The only one we have right now is the one that we use for Valheim occasionally. I was gonna do a Discord for the beta. I'm not sure if I'll be able to like handle it because I have so much planned for New World right now, so I don't know if I'll be able to do that. But I got plans for like stuff I want to do with the community, like in game and stuff, and hopefully they'll announce the servers so we can. I want to make a video before the beta comes out and say like what server I'll be on and stuff like that, and then we got a lot of stuff planned for what we'll do in game with other people. And have you created new characters and see how fast you can level up? So, because yeah, they've been doing wipes throughout the previous iterations and the current iterations. I can't say like what I feel about. I can't say too much about the current leveling experience, but I have leveled up characters throughout the wipes and the previous iterations. Most of the time I stick with one character unless there's a wipe. So I've probably leveled to max about 7 to 8 plus times now. Because I'm trying to think, because I know there was at least 1 to 2 wipes during the Alpha 2, and then this one there's had to be at least 3. So yeah, probably about maybe 8 or 9 actually times to max. And then I've done it differently. I've done at least 2, 3 runs where I just do the questing all the way up, and then like the town projects and territory standing stuff, and then or sorry, not the because that was just added recently. The town projects and like the questing, and then basically that. And then I've done ones where I just do portals, and then I've done ones where I do faction missions. I've done like, God, I've round in faction missions. I hate doing faction missions now. I'm gonna probably avoid doing them if I can on beta, but I bet that'll probably end up being like the more powerful way to level again. But God, I don't know how that's gonna go. But yeah, I think that's why I've been saying that they probably need more ways to level, like more open world based ways. More dynamic events would be great as a good start, and then having ones that are tied to like PvP. Like you could have it where like the open world points of interest, where you step into a dynamic event or like a world boss fight and it flags you. They can have certain ones for that, and then certain ones that don't flag you. I think that kind of thing would be pretty cool. But oh, I don't have a guide website. That's kind of the same thing as the Discord thing, where I don't think I'll have enough time to manage it. I don't have a website, but New World Fans has a lot of like really cool resources and stuff on that one. I usually, whenever people ask about a website, I tend to direct them there. And you can, if you sign up now, you might be able to get an alpha key still. They've been sending out, I don't know where people have been checking, but some people, like some guilds, have announcements where they'll tell people when keys are going out, or like when waves happen. But yeah, they've been sending out alpha waves, so yeah, you might have a chance still, because they pull them pretty randomly. But I don't know, it might be a low chance, who knows, but we'll see. But either way, we're only a couple weeks away, so it won't be that bad of a wait anymore. Ever decided everything about doing a collab with Studio Loot? I was actually talking to them a while back because they were thinking about doing that. I ran into some medical issues around that time, so I couldn't. But this time around, I don't think I'll be able to probably do collabs with like anybody, because I have so much that I have planned now for the game, that most of the time, whenever I'm not doing content, I'm knee deep in a game, or knee deep in this game right now, to be exact. So if it's a thing where like I'm hanging out with somebody, I totally do that. But like full on collabs, I probably wouldn't be able to, because there's just no time. If I'm not like actively working on content, I'm always researching and finding out what the next thing I want to do is, or what the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to look like. So I probably wouldn't be able to. What do you think about the Lost Ark release before New World? Wait, I think it's after. Oh, you probably mean after. Yeah, I mean, Lost Ark is a really, really solid game. I mean, I think the only things that ever have really held it down is when I think I had heard that certain regions kind of went a little overboard with the monetization parts. But yeah, I think other than that, there's not that many things that really hold Lost Ark down. So I think, yeah, initially it'll probably pull some players away from New World. I was always thinking, like, overall, that New World would probably have like a pretty good first month-ish, and then it'll start to like stagnate players, because most people will probably be done with the content in the first 2 months. So it's probably gonna have like after that initial bump, it's gonna start to like trickle down, and then for the next couple of months or so, until they do like more big updates, or like maybe an expansion, it'll probably be steadily declining but not really like to the point where it's like fully dead. I think it'll still have stuff to like, you know, keep people around, but it'll be pretty tough though the first couple months, I would say, after that initial bump, because that's going to be the part where people are going to be, you know, they're going to be doing a lot of the same things every day. And then you look at other games that have already have like years and years on years of content, and we're going to be starting out at the beginning for New World, so we're going to have to find things to occupy ourselves. So I think a lot of community-based events and stuff like that is how I'm going to keep myself going that long, but I know for other people it'll probably be really hard too. Wait one sec. I'm just typing something. Shouldn't portals be nerfed? Oof, I can't really go too far into that, but I would say that from the patch notes standpoint, I understand why they did that. There was another factor with the portals though that was causing people to like, because even they said that alpha players are leveling faster. There was another factor there that they didn't really touch. Had to do with the territory standing, but I get why they did the nerf. It's just that I think there should be more pieces of content like that. I don't think they should like outright remove them or like outright nerf them into the ground kind of thing, because there will be players, myself included, that like to progress sometimes without doing like all the quest lines, you know, all the crafting and gathering and stuff like that. Sometimes people just want to go out into the open world and have objectives to do out there. Like a good example is Guild Wars 2, like how you have these dynamic events and incursions and stuff like that out in the open world that you can become a part of and like progress your character with. Some stuff like that. Sometimes people really look for those kinds of experiences. And even what's it called? Even newer games that are upcoming, they're being built with dynamic events in mind. So I think since New World has already got a lot of its appeal vested in the open world side, that it could be really beneficial if they also did continue to expand on the dynamic event side alongside like the instance and whatever kind of content they want to add. I think the open world side needs some love too. What's up, Matthews? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But yeah, I get why they did the nerf. I hope that they also have plans for other open world pieces of dynamic events too. Would be nice to have. And min-maxing is always going to be a thing now, just because that's how MMOs and gaming in general has evolved. A lot of people focus on that side of, you know, gaming, but I don't think in this case, you know, and there's other cases too, I don't think min-maxing is going to be like the be all end all. There's going to be a lot of stuff. There's going to be stuff, not a lot, but stuff that you can do without having to worry about min-maxing. And there will be enjoyable experiences to be had by just, you know, taking things slow. There's a lot of beautiful areas in the open world, especially to give an example, where if you just want to explore, you don't really want to, you know, focus on getting the end game or anything like that. There's really no rush. A lot of the stuff that is like at the end game is where you might get the majority of your experience if you are somebody that likes to focus on the PvE side of things. But you'll still be okay if you don't want to rush. You don't have to. No, you don't have to rush. And they seem to be interested in getting more features on the social side, like we talked about in the conversation with them, where they're thinking about things like the musical instruments, the tavern stuff, and tournaments and all that kind of stuff that might allow people to play the game and not really worry about who, you know, being the best or anything like that. They can just have other features to interact with, to on the interaction side, to enjoy the game in a different way. So I think they're going to start looking more into that, and you'll see more things like that happen over time, so you won't have to really worry about mid-maxing. And yeah, the live stream, it was really short. It was just like a general live stream to get people interested in the game. It was only about 18 minutes. I thought it was at least 20. A lot of the stuff we already saw though, so we didn't really get anything new. So we've just kind of been talking. I've just been answering questions, and that's about it. They alluded to, so from what I've seen and what they're talking about here, this Tempest thing that they talked about with Captain Thorpe, I don't know. It seems like they're gonna make that into a bigger part of the story than it was before, like when we initially heard about it. So I don't know, this Tempest thing, we'll have to find out more about that. That's one thing that we kind of got a little bit more about, because they said that the Tempest is like the architect of the apocalypse and that it wants to unmake creation. So it sounds like it might be a person now instead of just like a actual force of nature, but we'll have to see. And no, they didn't remove the NDA. That's still a thing. Do you think the PvP will be the main goal of the game? Not anymore. No, I think it's more half and half now. I think the PvP, the changes they've been making, the additions they've been making are really good, like the dueling, the open world points of interest and stuff like that. But if you're just going in with the full-on PvP experience in mind, there might not be a whole lot that you can do right now. Over time, I can see that getting better, but I think it's going to be more half and half now. I don't think it's going to be like the main part of New World. I think it'll be, because you're going to need to do a lot of PvP, just like in certain other games too that have the same kind of setup. You're going to need to do a lot of PvE to be efficient in PvP. So it's going to be more of a half and half situation here for sure too. Damn, I love Isabella. I really wish that they showed the Dynasty shipyard, especially because that one would have been really cool to break down. There's still crate drops in the corruption, right? So no, there's it works a little bit differently now. I mean, you'll still find gear in the chest, but they've also nerfed the elite points of interest chests. So like Merc Guard, because I think you're talking about Merc Guard there, Davey. So when you go to Merc Guard now in certain areas like that and you gather from a chest, those chests are going to have like a 24-hour cooldown. Like how you know that people like in the preview could do chest loops where you loot a chest, you start looting some other ones, you come back like 15 minutes later and you can get it again. That's not going to be a thing anymore. So that won't be as powerful as it was before. It's going to be more balanced, but you'll still be able to find decent gear in those chests. And you'll also be able to get decent gear from like elite mob drops, like they said in the patches, as well as like bosses and stuff like that too. Chat was trashing on the, yeah, I don't know why they call it a deep dive, because it was more like a general introduction to the game itself and like the expeditions and stuff. Some of the stuff that we saw in there was kind of new, like when they showed like this part right here, like the expeditions, like Dynasty Shipyard. That footage I think is fairly new, and like with the Empress, which looks pretty cool. But a lot of this was stuff that people already kind of knew. But I think that's probably why they didn't advertise it as hard, because I noticed when the days leading up to the event, I noticed that they weren't really posting, and then they didn't really post about it until, what was it, the first event was done yesterday, and then they said join us tomorrow for this event. So I think maybe that was part of the reason why, because they probably didn't want to build as much hype around this event, because they knew it wasn't going to be, for people that already have been following the game and stuff, it wasn't going to do that much for them. Good equipment to get in PvP. Well, there's all kinds of different sets and stuff like that you'll find out in the world, and there's even more equipment now that you'll find out in the world. you can, I mean, you can be viable in PvP with just about, you know, anything that has good stats. It's not really about going for specific sets kind of thing. It's just like basically what you can get and like how good it is on the statistical side. I can't really recommend any like specific, you know, like where you should go right now. Like once you get into game and beta, because that all that stuff's under NDA. But we'll definitely talk about that in the future. If you're looking for like specific places to go and get some decent gear, that probably has good stats. We'll talk about that in the future too. Wait one sec. Okay. And yeah, skill will definitely be a big part of like your, you know, your experience in PvP. It will be skill based. So whenever you see people with decent gear, it won't mean that much because you can still kill those people. The best thing that you can bring to a fight is, you know, a big enough weapon to kill him, or like a good ability to not get hit, like a good ability to dodge. If you're good at dodging, like if you're going a melee one-on-one fight, you could probably still win, even with like gear that's half as good as the other person. Oh yeah, I did see the Reekwater one. I like Reekwater actually. It's less eerie than Brightwood. And we did the Reekwater preview event last year where we were able to explore it. And I liked the Lost and like the areas and stuff like that they had, and the Lost lore. That was pretty cool to learn about in the Siren Queen. But I don't know. I would say in terms of like where my home would be, I've always loved Morningdale. That one has been like my absolute favorite, especially since it always rains there. And rain is like my absolute favorite weather. So if I had to pick any place for my first house, it probably would be there. Plus, it's a good location. It's right next to Eden Grove, and now it'll be pretty close to Reekwater, as well as actually it could be a decent way to get to Great Cleave as well. If I don't want to go through Brightwood, I can, you know, just from Eden Grove, I can just plop right over, and I can actually get to Shattered Mountain from Eden Grove without having to go through Great Cleave. So it's a pretty cool location. And then Everfall is like the central hub, so normally people would always get a house in Everfall too. Because they changed the housing cost, it'll be a lot easier to get your second and third house. You won't have to pay like 150,000 gold for your third house. So I'd get one in Morningdale just because I like Morningdale, but I'd also get one in like Everfall for the location too. But I think this time around, Windsward might become a central hub too, because Windsward is actually a pretty good location for a few things, like gathering especially too. But yeah, I think Windsward will probably see some more love in the beta this time around. Wait, do you think after... Sorry, I was typing something else. Do you think after 3 months of the game, a lot of players will have top gear? Yeah. Oh, yeah. After 3 months? Absolutely. Even after 2 months. I think even though Amazon is trying to slow us down in leveling, nah, even at the current rate, probably about 2 to 3 weeks max. For people that are playing like 10, 12 plus hours a day, no. And then yeah, there's the alpha players. There's going to be a lot of people that have already, you know, gone to the end game portion and tested out a lot of things and know where to go. So you're putting those players into the mix of players that are coming in for the first time, and we're probably going to tell everybody exactly where to go for at what levels. So yeah, probably within the first month there's going to be people that have, like, you know, at least half 600 gear score gear. And then 2 months, absolutely, there's people will be capped out for sure. And then the quests on the PvE part, yeah, like the expeditions, the arenas, especially since we have quest lines, we don't have to grind for these orbs anymore, because beforehand, like during the preview, you had to grind in Eden Grove if you wanted to get a Spriggan key. We don't have to do that anymore. We can apparently just get quest lines for these orbs. So yeah, I think people will definitely finish like the expeditions and the arenas within like their first couple of weeks after getting 62. And yeah, there's still going to be open world bosses. They've actually been renamed. So in the preview, like we did a stream where we did hunt down a lot of the bosses, like Zinc the Obstructor, Banes. Malevolence was actually bugged. We couldn't fight him, but I know what his fight is. But yeah, they do have field bosses, and they have more now. Like in the Reekwater preview, when we might be able to actually show it. I have that footage still. When we did the Reekwater preview event, where they let some content creators explore Reekwater, I went to the Spire of Melpomene, which yeah, Spire. And this is where I believe the Siren Queen, well, I mean, I know where her arena is. This is where I believe, quote unquote, the Siren Queen is has her arena. But inside of the Spire of Melpomene, you see this gate here. This is at the beginning of it. I actually had to glitch past this gate because it wasn't opening for me. I think one of the times I did this event, like, because we could make multiple characters, so I think I had a second character that I brought over here. The second time, I think the gauges like blew open, and the guy that's behind there just kind of let me in. Trying to see if I can. I think this is the one where I see the guy. Oh no. So there's supposed to be a boss right here. So let me go to the other footage. First character I had. Spine. Yeah, right here. That big bastard. See that? So yeah, there's supposed to be a boss right there that they added in Reekwater, and there's probably going to be ones in like Ebonscale. So yeah, you're gonna see. Oh yeah, that's the brute right there. And then there's also higher up, there's a lieutenant up there. I forgot what he was called. This bastard does some damage for sure. He does. I think he's gonna be more powerful than we see here. Yep, I remember dying there too. That was fun. But yeah, you're gonna see bosses just like that. And I think might actually have that stream still. It's number 1. Because we did it's gonna be pretty blurry, but we did a stream during the preview where we hunted down all the open world bosses that were in the game. It was actually it might be in that same folder. No? It was the 3rd stream I did. Oh, you know, I probably have it on my hard drive because I had to get some of the footage off of my freaking computer. It was taking up way too much space. But yeah, there's different. Oh, I might actually have a folder for it. I can show you some pictures. There's different bosses in the game already, like Zinc the Obstructor, Malevolence, Banes, and then there's going to be more added over time, I would imagine. But we need to see some actual world bosses though, because these bosses are like this right here. This is Banes. This is what he looks like. He's like a giant Spriggan ogre. And then Zinc the Obstructor is probably my favorite. He's really badass. But they're not really like they can be zerged down with 20 players. They're not. He looks like this is what Zinc looks like. I might be able to find an actual picture of him. Let's see, it was during. I'm looking for a specific folder. Oh yeah, it's this one. These are the bosses. Zinc. He's right here. So blurry. Zinc, but he's been renamed. So he's a badass. I love this guy. He's my favorite. But they need something like the Void Destroyer. They don't need something like this, like a field boss. They need something bigger. And I think that's one of the ways they could elevate the open world content, is by having much bigger bosses, maybe even ones tied to dynamic event chains. What do you need for low level tuning orbs? Oh, so like for the AMRINE excavation, you'll automatically get that from the quest line that you do. So yeah, like because they talked about that during the event that we did for the expedition. So yeah, you level up through your main story quests, and then you're going to come across a quest line that brings you in to AMRINE excavation. And then the same will happen for like the expeditions. They've added some to the main story, so you'll get an orb for like the Depths expedition and the Shattered Obelisk. So all you got to do is follow your quest lines, and then you can go in with somebody else who has an orb. So if like one person in your entire party has an orb, you can use their orb to enter. And then if you have 2 orbs, like one person has one, another person has one, you can do 2 runs. So that's going to be another way where, even though we have to get these orbs through stone crafting after we're done with the quest line, people will still be able to do these expeditions, because you'll be incentivized. Like if somebody's joining the game for the first time and you really want to do another expedition that nobody has an orb for, if this person is coming up in their main story quest line and they're like looking for group or looking for party members for this expedition, you can join them. And if your character's already maxed out, you can help them a lot in that expedition. So it's kind of like a system setup, I guess. And that's what I'm assuming they're going for, is they want people to have a reason to come back to some of these expeditions, and they don't want us to just spam them like all day long kind of thing. Even though I honestly wouldn't mind if we could, because I want to farm some of those gear sets when we get to beta, because the expeditions, they do have their own unique gear sets now. Especially like the Dynasty Shipyard one is going to be really cool. Really, really cool. I can't wait to get the full set of that. As a system, that broken armor. No, it's not like that. So when you break your armor, you can repair it. It's just that the weapons and armor that go down in durability all the way are going to be operating at like half capacity kind of thing. It won't be a thing where just like breaks and that's it. You can repair it, but you need repair parts, and you also have to spend gold to repair it too. We can elaborate on the orbs take. Yeah, I'm pretty much going off the patch notes when I talk about those, but that's why I wish they went into the expeditions a bit more today, because we could talk more about it. But yeah, like when they added it in the patch for like stone cutting, I'm pretty sure they added a lockout for it, right? So we can only craft certain amounts of them per week kind of thing. And then somebody had mentioned earlier how it was said like they're not tradable. So there might be a thing where instead of stone cutters that make them being able to sell them to people, they might just sell the runs, like sell the spots to join the expedition, because some of the gear sets you'll probably want to farm, like for Lazarus and Garden of Genesis kind of thing. And you might get some other rewards out of those too that you really need for whatever else you're planning on doing, like weapons maybe. There we go. Okay, I finished typing. Oh, Chivalry 2. Oh man, I wish I could play Chivalry 2. I love the crap out of the original Chivalry, and I played a lot of Mordhau. But I was gonna try out Chivalry 2, but I ended up not doing it because I saw that it was on the. I really shouldn't be. I shouldn't really mind it that much, but it was on the. I saw it was on the Epic Games Store, and I haven't really been too keen on, you know, playing a lot of games on the Epic Game Store just because I have most of my stuff on Steam. So I ended up missing out on the beta for it, but I do love Chivalry though. It looks really nice. I'll probably try it at some point. I wish they would have done where like some games have released on Epic Game Store and Steam at the same time. I'm sure they'll release it on Steam in like a year or so. So I might end up waiting until then. But I've been watching some people play it though. It looks really cool. The question about broken armor is because I think that will have a lot of crafters in the game. Oh yeah, you're worried about the right. Yeah, that was something that I made a video a while back about potential issues for New World, and we've talked about this in other videos too, where the economy, like over time, it could get inflated. And it seems like they've been making changes on that side of things to kind of prevent that, where like the stuff that you craft, a lot of that should be, because they added in bind on pickup and bind on equip stuff now. So a lot of the stuff that you craft, I think, should be bind on equip, but things that you get from like the expeditions and stuff like that, a lot of that's going to be bind on pickup. So you're going to see, you know, certain things might flood the market, but there's still going to be things that are going to be pretty rare. Like the stuff that you get from bosses, like the end game drops, a lot of that stuff is probably going to end up being bind on pickup. So it probably won't be as bad, but I totally see where you're coming from there. It's something that could happen. But they also made changes to like the gold because, well, I don't know, like I can't say why, but they made changes to where like we only get a 500,000 gold cap that we can utilize. And it might sound like a lot, but it some people it's not. For some people it's not a lot. But yeah, they've been making changes periodically to stuff like that to the economy because they don't want it to end up in a situation like that. So I think overall it'll probably be okay. But they got to make sure that they keep on adding, you know, new gear sets over time, maybe even adding new tiers for that kind of stuff, just to keep us progressing. Because one of the things I talked about a long time ago was like having an ascended tier where after we get legendary, that being orange, we could get red, like for ascended kind of thing would be pretty interesting. Or if they're planning on going like up to tier 6, tier 7, tier 8, like in the future, that'd probably be, you know, another way to go. Because right now I don't think they've really talked that much about where they're going to go on the gear progression side of things. It's hard to say because that's one of the things I should have asked about when I talked about the expansions with them, because the thing that I asked specifically when I talked to them about the expansions was I wanted to know if they were going to do level cap increases, but I didn't really go into like the gear side too. But that's a valid thing to be concerned about too. We'll have to see how that goes. And have I tried PSO2? No, I haven't tried it yet, but it looks pretty interesting though. I mean, I've not looked at any new videos for it or new streams, aside from one guide stream, but I wasn't really watching that much. But I remember some of the old videos I saw of New Genesis and it looked pretty cool. I'll have to see how it is now. But I don't really play Phantasy Star that much anymore as I used to. I used to play it quite a little bit back in the Japanese server before it came to the West. But I don't really play, you know, or cover games like that that much too more in general. Like the anime kind of games, I don't play them too much anymore. Or not. I don't know if that's the proper way to describe Phantasy Star, like as like an anime type of game, but just the aesthetic and, you know, games that are similar to that aesthetics wise, I don't play them or cover them that much anymore, I should say. Nerf hard the XP. Well, so the thing with the nerfing of the XP, that they're doing that already too. You know, there's a lot of old school MMORPGs that have had it where you take 6 months, you know, a year plus to even cap out. And, you know, for some of those games that worked. That definitely did work. But I think a big part of why they worked was partly because of the social aspects. Like, I remember when I played Lineage 2 Classic and EverQuest, because I had never played EverQuest back in its prime. So I think for their 20th anniversary, I jumped into EverQuest for the first time. And I saw a lot of that social aspect. I remember, you know, we had a lot of people sitting in groups, just sitting down, waiting for the mana to regenerate. And we were having conversations while we were farming mobs. And it was a thing where, you know, we would farm one location, then we'd go to another location once we reached a certain threshold and start farming again. I think in games like that, that kind of thing worked for sure. But in a game in this day and age, and with a game that doesn't really have that aspect, because New World has kind of been nerfing the mob grinding experience, so we don't really, you know, we see people running a lot of faction. You'll see people running a lot of faction missions and stuff, but people won't be really stopping to talk or like having a reason to really, you know, travel with each other outside of, you know, doing just those faction missions. So that social aspect won't be as strong. I don't know if it would work as well here. I think if they had more leveling methods, like they had more dynamic events, maybe if they did, you know, rebuff the mob grinding a bit, then maybe like having it take 4 or 5 months would probably work. But if we have to do like 4 or 5 months worth of faction missions, as somebody who's done literally thousands of them at this point, I think people would probably lose their minds. And the questing experience, like we were talking about before, even though, you know, they're expanding on it and that's great, they're trying to expand the lore, I don't think it has enough to really stand on its own right now. I think they would need more of those open world experience, you know, those open world features to supplement that. Because if you look at games like Final Fantasy 14, ESO, SWTOR, like these games that have that really cinematic experience, you have, you know, cinematics and flashbacks and stuff like that to deliver the story. And then also you have certain features where, like in SWTOR, you can dynamically change how what the outcome of a dungeon is. What do they call them, flashpoints or whatever, when you choose what road your party's going to take. And then Final Fantasy 14, you have all these cinematics and these deep storytelling aspects, and, you know, these cinematic cameras when you're talking to NPCs. New World doesn't really have anything like that. So I think if we just had the questing experience by itself, and that somehow took 4 to 5 months to level up with, I don't think that would really, you know, work that well either. But yeah, I totally agree. Like, we shouldn't have like exploits and people getting to max level in, you know, less than 3 days, because that was insane. And there's been, I can't say too much about it, but, you know, there's, like, even they said in the patch notes, there's been more of that happening as they've tweaked and added new things in for the leveling. But I think instead of them nerfing the experience too hard, maybe it'd be great if like on top of that they started adding in more leveling methods. That way people that don't really want to do the faction quest and the questing experience and stuff like that have other ways they can progress, even if it did take longer, kind of thing. Yeah, like that's Guild Wars 2 has always been one that I've strongly referenced, because that game did really do dynamic events really well, in my opinion. And of course World v World was awesome as well, but like I love things like Silver Waste. When we get in there, we escort those carts, then we have to eventually go down into the underground after we take down the bosses up top. Like dynamic event chains, like incursions, world boss events, all that kind of stuff. I would love to see a new world. If they added stuff like that, this could take 6 months and I'd be down. If they had stuff like that too. And yeah, like the social aspects, that's why when they brought that up in conversation, when I was talking with the Amazon Games, I did start getting flashbacks of like all those old school MMOs and how the social aspect was a big part of why they were great. And that's when I made the video, that's why I talked about how, like, it really is, it was a big part of what made those games great, and it could still be a big part of what makes these kinds of games great too. What's your take on AGS becoming a lost Arc publisher. Oh, I think it'll be fine. I mean, normally when people, you know, when you have a publisher developer situation, the publisher doesn't really do that, you know, compared to the developer. They're just really there to like handle the monetization system and stuff like that. Like I think there's games that have pretty much skeleton crews that do publishing, you know, they bug fixing and stuff like that maybe, but no, I don't think they're going to be focusing a huge amount of effort on the Lost Ark side, because they basically just push the patches that have already been developed by, you know, the developers in the other region, right? And Lost Ark already has years of content to cycle into the western side. So probably what they're going to do, because I'm pretty sure the trailer didn't show like the what was it, the different classes that they have in the KR side and stuff like that now. So what they're going to do is probably what most games do when they publish games in the West. They start us off at like 1.0, and then they just rotate those patches in. So that's pretty much all they have to. They don't have to develop that stuff. It's already there. So they just send it over to AGS, and AGS pushes a button, and you know, there's more to it than that, but they don't really have to expend a lot of effort for that stuff. I think it'll be fine. This is also a bad time, but I was also playing a little bit of Pokemon on my Switch. I haven't played Pokemon in 17 years, and I just got a Switch for my birthday. So I was getting a little bit back into that now. But okay, so I'm so sorry about, by the way, that we've been like talking for like 3 hours, and we haven't really had a whole lot to show for it. Like the event itself, for those of you just getting in, it was only like 20 minutes. So we've just kind of been talking past that point to kind of talk about the game itself and where it's going to go. I wish we got more, you know, to talk about today, like from the actual event itself, but it's not the first time that's happened. Actually, I remember, actually ironically, when we streamed the PC Gamer event last year, people were thinking that we were all thinking that was going to be pretty cool, like a really big announcement, and then it ended up being like a 2-minute 3-minute trailer, the Combat Unleashed trailer. So that was funny. It's like a repeat of that. But I'm gonna not do this. Yeah, voice chat. Yeah, voice chat is in game, like we had it during the preview. That social aspect, yeah, it'll probably help on that side too. I mean, it's not always gonna be, you know, voice chat, it has its pros and it also has its cons. Some people might disable voice chat, like for a long time there I disabled it too, because you'll get, you know, you'll get a lot of trolls. Sometimes people will just be blasting the music and stuff like that in town. It can be funny, you know, but sometimes, one time somebody blew my ears off almost because they were blasting some Katy Perry and Everfall, and I just disabled it after that. I was like, all right, buddy. But yeah, the social aspect will probably be elevated by having the voice chat too. But yeah, I think having more features on the social side would also be good too. That's why when they brought up the idea of having like those tavern games and stuff like that in the conversation, I was all for that. I would love it if they had like blackjack and stuff like that too. Wait, hold on, I got a phone call. One sec. Okay, I'm back. But hell yeah, I would. Oh, absolutely, Matthias. It's really fun. I like talking about the game like this whenever we get a chance to. I would love to play Uno. I'd play the crap out of Uno too. But no, I played Pirates of the Caribbean online, and they had that like in the tavern. You could play blackjack or poker or freaking. Wait, hold on. Testing 1 2. Okay, just want to make sure my mic's on. But yeah, they had like blackjack and poker you could play with other people in the game. It was fun. I played that for hours. Like if they had mini games in New World like that in the tavern, that it could just be like the smallest thing. You could, you know, add their own version of Gwent or whatever they want to do. That'd be really cool because they already said that they do have plans for that. In the conversation I had with them, they revealed that they do have some plan. They didn't tell me exactly what, but like maybe 3 or 4 months from now, we might actually be seeing something like that. Did the event even say anything new? No, it was a lot of the same. It was basically just stuff that would, you know, interest new people that are not really familiar with New World, to try to get them interested in the game. It wasn't really anything that people following the game could really take from. There was like new footage when they showcased like the expeditions, like the Dynasty shipyard. There was some new footage of that. But nah, there wasn't like any, yeah, like this kind of thing. There wasn't really any like concrete info though that we got from it. Yeah, Gwent that would be hilarious if they had their own version of Gwent. Though I heard some people don't really like Gwent that much. I didn't play it that much when I did play Witcher 3. But I do like mini games like that though. Like if we had like Pazak and Knights of the Old Republic. I played that a crap ton. And like if the game did have like blackjack or poker or even Uno. Yes, Liar's Dice from Pirates, yes. Oh, I would play the crap out of that. I actually didn't even ironically, a couple weeks ago I found a video that fully explained the Liar's Dice, like how that game worked, because, you know, when I watched the movies, even though I watched, you know, at World's End, was it World's End or Dead Man's? It was at World's End. Wait, it might have been Dead Man's Chest when Will played with Davy Jones. One of those two. I watched both of those like multiple times, but I never really paid attention to how the game actually worked. But when I watched that video, I was like, oh, this is amazing. That would be so cool to actually play in a game. And we already do have the dice roll emote in New World, like people were doing that during the preview. So hell yeah, I would totally take a game like that, a mini game like that. That'd be awesome. And if we're able to actually bet our gold, like our end game gold. Oh, was it Dead Man's Chest? Okay, it was Dead Man's Chest. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I remember now. Because whenever I watch those kinds of videos, I usually end up watching clips of At World's End and the other movies too. I love watching the end scene, or the end like scenario with Davy Jones fighting the other ships. Like you got Barbossa, Jack, Will, Elizabeth, and all the other pirate groups going toe to toe with Beckett and Davy Jones. Mostly just them and Davy Jones, but still is awesome. When Calypso gets released too. Hell yeah. Will you stream the beta when... Oh yeah, I'll definitely stream it when beta comes. And yeah, I'll probably be on YouTube. I used to do Twitch streaming, but not as much anymore. One of the things that I switched over for was like, even when you're a Twitch affiliate, you can't really stream in 2 different platforms at the same time, because there was like multi-streaming stuff that you could do, but it wasn't really allowed if you were even a Twitch affiliate, and definitely not a partner. And I like the streaming aspect on YouTube, because it would like automatically save the VODs, and then also that was something that would stay forever. It wouldn't just delete after a certain period of time. So it did have its uses. So I'm more used to it being on YouTube at this point, so I'll probably stay here for sure on that one. Even though ironically this game is New World is gonna probably cater, like from a feature standpoint, it's going to cater more than likely more to the Twitch streaming side, because those Twitch integration features that we talked about a long time ago and briefly mentioned here and there, like how they're planning to have, like how they were planning to have streamer armies and streamer spotlights and stuff like that. That seems like it's probably going to happen, considering in the recent patch notes they had a portion in the top right corner of the what's it called, main menu that they have now, where it said you could connect your Twitch account. And they had mentioned in previous interviews how they were going to have Twitch drops. They mentioned in that same specific interview that they talked about the cash shop and how it was supposed to be cosmetic only. They talked about Twitch Prime Cosmetics. I can actually find that one too. I think that's in folder 9.3. Yep, okay. So I still can't pronounce the name of this site properly because it's French and I suck at pronunciation, but this is when Scott had an interview with them back in 2020. They did a big media event where there was like several media groups that got a lot of really good information out of them, and I covered like all those things too. But I actually went back and found all of them, and I covered the crap out of those. But this one was for like the cosmetics, and then they mentioned at the end here there will be cosmetic benefits for owners of Twitch Prime. So they're probably gonna have things like that in the game for sure. Whoa, level 34 Pokemon. Holy crap, I'm gonna die. Okay. Yes. I love the idea of Liar's Dice though. I think that'd be so fun to have in game. That'd be awesome. Is it really skill based? Yeah, in this game, oh yeah. Yeah, skill will definitely play a big part in PvP. You'll notice it. You'll notice it for sure. Even without the stagger, because the stagger did add a degree of skill in the preview too. Even though, you know, like some people were just spamming like crazy with the hatchet, but you could still deal with hatchet users if you had enough skill to, and you knew when to dodge, and you know, you could punish people for doing that, trying to spam with the hatchet. But yeah, even now, oh yeah, skill will definitely play a big part in the combat too. That's one thing, even though, you know, parts of the combat will definitely need work, that's one thing that can be said about New World for sure, is that it will be skill based on the combat side too. What do we think is the underdog faction? I mean, it'll vary from server to server. Like I know when I played the preview, on my server, Marauders I think were like top dogs. They had a lot of the territory, but then you'll come across servers that have like, you know, a Syndicate and then Covenant. I think overall though, Covenant's probably going to be the underdog, like just from a general sense across the board. Syndicate will probably be, I think Syndicate will probably be like top, and then Marauders will be just like slightly behind. But Covenant, yeah. Oh yeah. I think we'll probably see more, we might see more servers this time around with Marauder being the top dog than we saw last time, potentially. But I think Syndicate will still be, you know, top for quite a few of them. Oh wait, how long have we been going? Okay, 3 hours. Let me check the time, because we don't want to talk too long and have people, you know, try to watch through 3 hours to see if anything new happened. Hold on. Okay, we've been going 3 hours and 10. Okay, so we'll stop in about like 15 minutes. We'll just call it there. But yeah, I do wish there was more that was revealed today. Dang. It was a fun talk though. I liked it. I mean, I like the talk that we had. Okay, I set a countdown for 15. All right. Oh man, I was gonna do a video and everything, man. I was hoping it was Dynasty Shipyard, because I did hear it was gonna be expedition related, but I didn't hear exactly what it was gonna be about. But I was hoping at least for like a full breakdown. PvP, yeah. Oh, that is true. Yeah, if you want to get a lot of PvP, you go on Covenant. You'll never run out of people to fight. And in most of the servers, I think it'll probably be like that for sure. That's true. That's true. You know, one thing that I saw people talking about on it was either Discord or some other place, was how they were talking about how it would be good for factions to have, you know, bonuses, like if they're the underdog. And I remember in one of the old patch notes, they actually mentioned that was going to be a thing. And that's something that we've talked about before too, like in suggestions that I've made in videos. But I'm pretty sure that was actually supposed to be a thing. I think I'd have to go way back actually. It was at the end. I think it was at the end of one of them That would have been so awesome if I just came across the right one. Because so I know that they talked about underdog. At some point, I'm pretty sure it was in patch notes, like the end of patch notes, like they talked about underdog factions getting something in the future. I just can't remember exactly where it was. Let me see. Oh, yep, there it is. Okay, made it. To avoid that feeling like a total defeat, we've been careful about tuning the benefits of being in a faction that controls the majority of territories while paying attention to the... Yeah. So, wait a minute. This isn't something that they've actually done. This isn't something they've done yet, but there was talk about that kind of thing where they were going to make it where paying extra attention to making factions that control fewer territories feel like underdogs, not the losing side. Wait a minute. We've been careful about tuning benefits. Yeah, okay, so I don't know if they said that they were going to do that exactly, because I remember there was another patch notes, another patch where they talked about how they had an upcoming patch where they were going to add more benefits and add more tweaks to the faction system. But I think the next patch after that had something to do with factions was when they added the open world points of interest, and then also added the buffs to companies and factions for owning territories. So like they added the resource carts where if you're like Marauder and you take over a territory, like let's say Reekwater, it might have a cart that's going to give you like food or like hide or however that's going to happen, and then you can grab from that cart if you're part of that faction. But also if your faction owns that territory, you'd have like fast travel discounts and stuff like that. And then if you're in the company that owns that territory, you'll have even further discounts there too. So I think that might have been what they were talking about. But what I was thinking that they meant like back then was they were going to make it similar to like, what was it? Was it Blade and Soul that did this? I can't remember, where underdog factions might have like XP bonuses or like, you know, gold gains potentially added to them to incentivize players to join those factions outright. I think that was something that people had suggested all this time, and I think that's something that if they did do that would probably help a little bit. Like, yeah, underdog, yeah. That was around the, so okay, so I don't think they said exactly that they were going to do that, but I remember talking about how they should do this kind of thing. So as soon as I said underdog, yeah, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah, that's what I would love to see too, because that would help a lot. I can't remember if Blade and Soul did that or if there was another game that did that was faction based, where when the factions get too slanted, you could incentivize players to join the underdogs by giving them bonuses like that. Like, yeah, XP bonus, that because that'd be good for allowing players to catch up that join those, and then they can fight. They can have a better chance at fighting. So I think stuff like that would be really good to have. But they are doing a really good job on adding those kinds of bonuses for owning the territories, like for factions and companies, because most people most of the time, like back a year ago, most people would ask like, why would I even care about owning a territory when it doesn't really do that much for me, kind of thing. Or why would I care about helping another company own a territory if I'm not going to be able to get the benefits. But then they started adding all those faction bonuses and stuff like that, and then that's where that comes in. So now people are going to be more incentivized to fight together to get not just their companies these zones, but the factions entirely too. So that part's pretty good. I can't remember exactly which patch that was that they started doing that kind of stuff, but I know it was either probably May. It was probably May, because May just added a crap ton of stuff to the game. This is March, right? Actually, it might have been March. Material converters, crafting and gathering. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about the material converters thing. Yeah, crafting itself, I still got to learn some more about it because it's pretty intense with how they've been changing up the crafting system. They've been making it more complex for sure. And yeah, that is true. The faction changes do already help underdogs to a certain, well, so we can't even really talk too much about it, but you're absolutely right on that. There's things that do help underdogs. If because they're still concerned, I think they're still concerned about what the faction balance is going to be, because in the conversation I had with them when I mentioned the fourth faction idea, and if they had considered that, they talked about it internally, they said, but they want to see where the faction balance sits at first. And even now with these current changes, we're probably going to have situations where there will be servers where one faction can, you know, dominate multiple territories. It'll be hard to hold that, but if a faction's like really big, like if a faction has 750 players out of whatever is left in the server for the other factions, then, you know, you only need 50 people per place. So if they have a lot of high levels, then they can probably hold them pretty well. We saw that happen a little bit in the preview. It might not be as easy to do that now, just with some of the changes, like with, you know, I mean, it's still 50v50. So if they have enough people, I think they could still do it. But underdog bonuses like XP gains and stuff like that might incentivize people to kind of split more, as opposed to like what they have now. But we'll have to see though to know for sure, because I'm really curious to see how the faction balance is going to be too on that side. Where was it though? It's milestone. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, territory control incentives. So they've added things like oh, this is for the 2 settlements owned by the same faction. You can transfer stuff between the storages. Coin fee, that's what it was. So yeah, gold. And then the resource carts, so each town has one. And then, like, let's say Marauders owns Everfall. People that are in Marauders can go to Everfall and get like a certain amount of ore, hide, wood, fiber, whatever kind of cart it has, they can grab that. And then faction bonuses, so they increase the volume. I forgot about this one actually. So they increase the gathering volume in territories, and the controlled territories, 50+ luck in the territories. And the fast travel discount for the companies. Yeah, like this is big. 70% fast travel discount. That's pretty cool. 30% reduced taxes. 20% reduced house purchase. And I remember they changed the house purchase one, because I think before, the one right before this, what was this one? This was Icebound, right? The one before this was crazy. I think you had like a 70 or 80% discount when you bought houses. Like it was nuts. Icebound was, wait, the PvP one, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then, oh wait, a little bit above, I think it was this one where they did that balance. This one was huge. No, it might have been another one. Yeah, but they had a really big discount on that beforehand. It was nuts. Yeah, it might have been another one. Can you still get multiple food buffs? Hold on. I don't know if I can. I think we can talk about that, but let me check something. Where is my... They changed the food buffs to where they're not as like in the patch notes. Yeah, this part we can talk about. They changed the food buffs to where they're not as you know, beneficial. Like in the preview, if you had like a, you know, tier 5 food, especially if you stacked that with like 2 other ones or like even 1 other one, you would regen like crazy. That part doesn't happen anymore. For the actual stacking though, let me oh yeah, no, actually I can talk about that. Yeah, you can still stack food. Yeah, you can. I remember now. I can talk about that. Yeah, you can stack it, but you can't do 2 recovery type foods. So you have to do like a crafting one or refine like a gathering one, like one that will give you like a luck bonus with mining, and then you can eat one that does recovery too. So you can do like a tasty meat, or what was the tier 2 one? It was travel rations is tier 1, tier 2 is something else. So yeah, you can do like a tier 2 recovery meat, and then you can eat like a gathering based one, and then they'll both stack. But the HP recovery won't be as strong anymore, but it'll still stack though. How late can you pick a faction? I mean, you can choose not to pick a faction at all. There's actually there's actually some players, and these players were doing it during the preview too. There's players that have gone the entire game without picking a faction. During the preview, they weren't able to, you know, hit max, but in previous iterations, you'll see people doing that more than likely in the full game release. One of the things that I had given feedback on, and one of the reasons why I talked about the mercenary and the 4th faction idea, was because there's not really a whole lot of features for players that decide to play like that though. So if you want to go without a faction, because when you get to about level 10-ish old dogs, that's when you're going to be able to choose a faction. But if you go without one, there's going to be certain things you're not able to do, like invasions, you can't sign up for them, and then the wars, you know, because you don't have a side, so you can't really, you know, faction vendors, you can't really buy stuff from the faction NPCs if you don't have a faction. So there's going to be certain things that kind of limit you, but it is possible. You can level strictly through like town projects. Now, since they made changes to the XP system, you could probably level through gathering and crafting alone, and then you could probably do portals too. So it's a cool little thing. I think people will probably be doing that for like RP and stuff like that too, which would be cool, but you won't see a lot of that going on though, because there's not a whole lot of features to support it. And absolutely, Matthew, thank you. And yeah, you can't do faction quests, and the invasion thing, it would be nice if you could do invasions without having to choose a faction, because I think that would probably make people feel like more of a mercenary group, which is exactly kind of thing I wanted to see, or like kind of talk about when I made that suggestion. Where like if it's getting to a case where, but people did bring up some good points where like even if it was just mercenaries, sometimes there are balance issues with that too. Like some games have it where there are mercenary assist powerful, and the other 2 factions combined may not have enough people to defeat them, or maybe they don't have enough organization, or just enough, you know, yeah, enough cohesion. Maybe they just hate each other. Especially in the open world, it can get pretty difficult if you're trying to if we put a scenario where like Syndicate is locking down Weaver's Fen, and nobody's able to grind there, and Covenant and Marauders want to team up, it wouldn't work out that well, because, you know, they'd be hitting each other. I mean, you could just, you know, maybe focus the Syndicate people with ranged attacks, but, you know, it's slippery slope, and once they get into your back line, you got to choose between helping them or not, you know, something like that. So mercenaries might be a way to kind of circumvent that, but it would probably have to have balances applied to that too, and maybe mechanics to support that, where like maybe a mercenary company can choose which faction they would support, and they could be like allied with that faction, and where they can't hit them and that faction can't hit them either. And then maybe they can kind of have it like the faction changing system is right now, because that was something that was new, that was added a while back, and we showed that in the special event, where you can change between factions now, but there's a cooldown of 120 days on it. So you could have it where like a mercenary group can choose whatever faction they're neutral with, and then they can't change that for like 90 days kind of thing. So they take up like an imaginary mercenary contract with the faction that, let's say, Syndicate pays them 10,000 gold to ally with them. So they choose Syndicate, and then they can't ally with another one for like another 90 days kind of thing, and they only fight for Syndicate. And yeah, they do. That's the thing too, is that I think they do want people to do the fact. I don't think they want people to go without a faction. They want to put as much emphasis on the faction system. So that's why I don't think they would probably do it in the future anyway. But there will still be players that do that kind of thing though. They probably won't, you know, they probably just won't pay as much attention to the people doing that just play without a faction the whole way through. But it would be nice if they had some features of their own at least. And yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you don't join, you also lose out on the faction buffs too. You don't get those, so it's kind of like a hardcore way of playing the game. But the appeal of it, I see the appeal of it though. You know, just being neutral, not choosing a side. It's pretty interesting. Do you have any tips for running 2 accounts? Not really. Since we're not gonna, you know, we're not gonna be able to do like macros or anything like that, which we shouldn't be doing that anyway. Most of the time, in a game like this, since it's not like tab target or a game where you can, you know, execute a couple commands pretty easily just by clicking, I would say as long as your keyboards are right next to each other, that should help a little bit. Like me personally, what I've done is I've rebound some keys on my second keyboard to like where like my second keyboard's on my right side right now. So maybe I'll rebind interacting with something to 1. That way I can just pop over really quick when I'm in front of a tree or like a rock, and I can just tap 1 instead of having to tap E. Or like, let's say my auto run is usually on my num lock, so I would put it on like maybe Q on the second keyboard. That way I don't have to reach all the way over to the num lock. I can just press Q on it and then do it that way. And stuff like that might help, but it'll all come down to just like, you know, getting used to it. But overall, and I think there's like, I mean, I don't remember what their feelings are on macros. I think botting is the main thing they don't want to ever see. But like keyboard, mouse macros, I don't 100% know on that. I think if you're actively playing the game, that's the main thing. So if you don't want to just leave your computer up and like have it completely, you know, continue to execute a command in the same place over and over, because when they look back in the logs, that's probably not going to look too good. But if you're doing like, you know, mouse macros that does like 1 or 2 commands or something like that, that might not be as bad. Who knows? And no info on the server cap yet. So initially, when we first found out, they haven't said a lot about the server stuff and what they've been doing on it in general, because beforehand, yeah, it was around 1,000. Back when they were, you know, talking about it in Alpha 1, they were saying that they wanted to get up to like 10,000 plus at a point. And then when they did the stress test before the preview, I remember, and I don't know if they said it in the actual announcement, but I remember them talking about how they were scaling the total numbers of players up, like they were doing testing to see if the servers could handle it. And when we were in the preview, I'm pretty sure we had more than 1,000. Like, because if you remember, they had those clusters, and it was really weird to see, because we had our servers, but then in brackets on the right side of those servers, they had these clusters, and then some servers had only 1 cluster, and then you had like 3 or 4 in another cluster. So that part didn't make sense to me. I didn't know what was going on there either. Initially, I think people were thinking that maybe you could like play 1 character in multiple clusters, kind of in multiple servers of that cluster. But I don't know. They've been doing stuff on the server side, but they haven't really told anybody a lot about what's going on yet. So I'm thinking they're probably going to be at least 2,000 to 3,000 per server. Yeah, and yeah, 1,000 is definitely not going to be enough for sure per server. If they're going to have like, let's say 10 total servers per region, it's probably not going to, you know, not going to cut it. So I think they've been trying to increase it, but they haven't said too much on that yet. Any type of, yeah, automation, yeah, anything like that I would not do. As long as you're, you know, playing the game and doing it in a way, like if you're, you know, try to move around, if you're gonna execute those kinds of commands, don't just try to stay in the same place. Because if I was looking at logs and I saw somebody just doing, you know, E at every 10 seconds and they were just staying in game and doing that over and over for like a total of 28 hours, that would be really sketchy kind of thing. Because I think they're going to be pretty hard on or come down pretty hard on like the gold selling and stuff like that. I don't think they want to see anything like that in the game, but I'm interested to see how they handle that. So I think it'll probably be a little harder for like gold selling to pop up in this game. It won't be like, you know, impossible. I'm sure there's going to be like gold sellers and stuff either way, but like because it's a buy to play game, so they have to put in that initial $40 buy-in and then they have to grind their way up if they want to like start farming or whatever. Then it'll probably be harder for them because they won't be able to, like, you know, with the tab target game might be easier to like create a bot for that, but this being like action combat, that'll make it a little bit harder. And then Amazon, if they're keeping eyes on the logs and stuff, that'll probably make it even harder for them too if they get banned. But they might, who knows what the gold selling sites will do. They might just buy their gold and stuff from other players, but hopefully they got plans for that though. Would love to see. I always love to see when games take a really serious stance against that kind of thing. Overshoot on the server count. Yeah, because one of the other things that I talked about in that video that I made for the potential issues is that just like if a server is too small and you get like one guild that has 500 players that all join that server and they make a bunch of alt guilds and stuff like that, that can be an issue. But then also if you have like 4,000 players on one server, but there's not enough zones to compensate all those players kind of thing, and people aren't moving around, they're just staying, like the starter zones initially get flooded and there's just like no resources because there's just so many people gathering all that stuff, and then all the mobs are dying and not respawning fast enough. Stuff like that is always a potential issue, and especially in the in-game zones, because we're all going to be tunneling into specific zones. And I'm talking about like when Great Cleave and Shattered Mountain were like the main places to go, like before they added Eden Grove and Reekwater. Like around that time, it would have been an issue if we had like 4,000 players and we just had those zones. So yeah, it's something to think about for sure. Hopefully they've got some ideas there too. I think they've been periodically increasing the rate of spawns on the mobs, but also with the zones being added, that helps too. And they said that they have at least plans for one more zone at least. They told me in the conversation, which I know what the zone is, but I can't talk about that one. But some alpha players and some players probably know what it is. And it was actually mentioned in one of the quest lines. So I think I could technically say what it is, but the fact that I have already said that I know what it is, I probably can't now, but it is mentioned in the quest line. When they give like any kind of indication or like any kind of hint as to what it is, I'll definitely make a video on that, because I know it's going to be a pretty exciting one for some people. Already saw bots in the oil pits in the preview. Yeah, and what was funny is I remember during the preview, and I think even after that too, there was like guilds starting up that were trying to be oil mafias. Like they were because the resources, we didn't have a lot of resource spawns at all for oil. And oh, the timer's already done. And yeah, just certain materials, there was just not enough of it all around the world, so that was a problem too. But in the patch notes, they even say that they've been getting better at adding more of that stuff around the world. One of the things that I really love to see was them adding more crops and produce and stuff like that to the farms. Like in the patch notes one time they talked about, because that was something that I was asking about for a long time too, because during the preview and like previous iterations, I made it a mission to explore all the points of interest and gather notes on where everything was, like resource wise. So I always knew, and there was a severe lack of like certain produce, like potatoes. There was only like, I think there was like one spot that one guild knew about, but they kept secret from everybody else, because potatoes were really good for cooking. But yeah, there's like one spot. And then strawberries, you could find those periodically in like Great Cleave, I think, and there was a farm in Northern Everfall, but that was about it. And then there was abundance of some things like corn you could find in the farms of Morningdale. There was a North farm in Morningdale that had a bunch of corn, but certain ones were just, they were so lacking. But they've done changes to that too, where produce and stuff is going to be more common now. Yeah, like, yeah, some crops I never saw. Exactly. There was, I remember potatoes was one of them, and then I remember what the other one was that was really, oh, it was probably wheat, like wheat and barley. And then now they have the provision chest too, so where you can get these produce and things out of those chests as well, alongside with being in the open world. Yeah, a long time ago I remember they added the provision chest. That was really nice to see. And what's up, Chris? Hey there. But okay, so we should probably stop there. Oh yeah, bots, countering them with aggroing all the mobs to them. Yes, absolutely. I think if people see bots like in the open world, it's probably going to be pretty easy to spot one. And then also you could probably do things like that where you can aggro mobs onto them. And then I think they're probably going to have a tough time too, because since the mobs have like dynamic traits now, where some of them in the in-game zones especially might spawn and they might have a trait where they're exploding on death, where you kill them and then they blow up. I think that'll probably mess up those gold farmers too when they start trying to do stuff like that. But what's up, Teddy? Yeah, we so just to end things, we watched the event. It was like 18 minutes long, but it was a lot of general stuff. There wasn't really anything new to somebody who, you know, follows the game. Even from a basic level, it's not really anything that we didn't already know. It seems like it's just more of a general introduction, what they did here, to like introduce people that don't really know what the game is about to some of the aspects of New World. So we didn't really get a lot of stuff out of that. There was some, you know, cool little snippets of footage, like the Empress. Love the way she looks, and the Siren Queen. You guys are gonna love that fight so much, by the way. But yeah, I was hoping for more, but we got a pretty good discussion either way, so it was fun. It was fun. But thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate it. We'll keep an eye out. Maybe they'll, you know, might post something else over the next couple of days. We'll see. But if not, then we'll just wait and see what happens with beta. And then I've also got some other videos I'm gonna do for sure. Crafting system is going to be intense to learn about again, but we're gonna figure it out and get something out for it too. But I'll catch you guys later. Thanks so much for joining. Have a wonderful day. What day is it today? Friday. Have a wonderful Friday. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, Girl Scout.